All right, all right, all right. What are you willing to keep from your partner? So, yes, yes, yes. It's been a
My
lot going
wallet.
on, but I have made it back after taking a solar moment, several moments actually. We are back for another open court discussion live in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my dynamic panel, Herb Lewis, the Big Bad Wolf.
Oh,
Willie A. Price speaks nothing but the truth.
How's everybody tonight?
what's
All
going on,
right.
man?
She's not present
I
yet,
gotta
but
liven up some. I gotta liven up a little bit here. All right.
Christine comes correct all the time. Brooks, she's not present, but hopefully she'll be joining us. The lovable Lakia Perry.
Hi guys and
Her
girls.
fancy hat on.
We have the youngest in charge, Shaughnessy Andrews, and Anetta,
Honestly.
Hey,
Life
hey.
Coach Williams. She is not present yet either. So here we go. Last Monday we talked about the subject. Now, ladies, what's your issue with a sensitive man? With a sensitive man. So what we realize is everyone has a different meaning to what they consider a sensitive man, as well as their tolerance level in dealing with a sensitive man. Well, tonight we're going to reintroduce a topic we did not get to last week. Basically, talking about issues or certain things that you may keep from a man. And in this particular situation, I had mentioned it last week. It dealt with an issue of, I guess, the fiance taking the 16-year-old daughter, well, the father's daughter, to get an abortion without telling him. So he was uh, he was pissed as hell, and I guess kind of called off the wedding and stopped speaking to his daughter. So we're gonna kind of talk about those type of situations and some of the other things people may keep away from their partner. So that'll be the first talking point. And sometimes it could be something involving children, money, and finances, a secret lover. It could be numerous things. Well, let's get on to the next talking points. Why do you think number two? Why do you think men have a hard time turning down sex? Will that work? Number three, is it a turn off for someone to tell you they have options? Pretty much letting you know, like, listen, you ain't the only game in town. Um, I got options. Either that's gonna make you step it up, or you could say, well, go seek out your other options. So we're gonna talk about that. And then number four, if love isn't enough to keep you kept, then what is? So yes, another banger, heat up, whatever you want to call it. But one thing for sure, you don't want to miss it. Please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for the Controversial Counselor YouTube channel. So here we have it. We're
Mm.
here, about to let in Anetta. As we always do,
Get up!
go ahead and give your, our typical anything good, bad, indifferent going on with you. Briefly.
Well, briefly, I am now with a new brokerage. So I'll be
Okay,
coming up with my
congrats.
announcement soon. Yes, I'm excited. I'm no longer with NACA. I am now with EXP Realty, where I am a team leader of a partner. His name is Tom Rascalt. I don't know if you guys. I don't know if we know him, but he's one of the top 20 producers in this area. So
All right,
I'm
congratulations.
doing excited about my transition.
So,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Exciting. So if I'll be having a little shindig of announcement soon. So if
okay.
anyone's
Cool.
interested in coming to hang out and meet some folks that we're partnered up with, it'd be good.
All right.
Sounds
Nice.
good. Well, I just received a some good news. I do a summer program called Community Fitness Program, Family Fitness Program, and this year we've been joined by the USATF Track and Field Association, the Ralph Wilson Foundation, and a number of different other organizations that will be joining us. And we're going to be putting on a family fitness program for 5 weeks where we're going to be doing aerobics and fitness and things like that. While the kids are, while the parents are doing fitness and things like that, we're going to have activities called Run, Jump, and Throw program that'll be going on for kids from 5 to 13-year-old. And we'll be doing that starting May 14th. It's going to go for 5 weeks. And the kids who participated in that, if they register for USATF track and field, they can also go to Rochester and compete against other kids from all over the state in a competition for prizes and things like that as well. So it's going to be a pretty good program. I'm excited about it because we've been trying to put it on since last year, and they picked us up this year. We've got several organizations that have joined on so far to help us put it on and support the community. It's a free event. There's no charge at all for the families or for the kids. And that will also include our summer track program. We're going to be able to do that for free this summer as well for kids 5 to 30. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
All right, congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody
I had
else?
an odd weekend. Week, I would say. I had an odd little week. There were some ups and downs. I found out a friend of mine passed away. Only 33.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then I got promoted to operations manager. So it's been real up and down. Like,
Congratulations.
yeah,
Oh, congrats.
so thank you.
Y'all ladies are some hot commodities. Damn. Taken promoted.
We be trying to tell y'all, but the men in this
At Counselor Corner think we just some stuff guys.
okay scum. We want their money that they don't have.
Or the
Enough
money that we
love.
already have.
Exactly. Enough love.
They didn't get in high demand until they joined the show, but that's all right. We won't talk about that.
Yeah, I
I've
think
been
that had
in
a lot to
management
do
for
with
over
it.
27 years, so don't
No,
play.
I think we were hot before we hit the show.
Hello.
We helped the show
Yeah.
become.
We helped it. Hello. We
They
brought
didn't
the
get all
numbers
that
up.
shine until they came on the show, but that's all right.
The
That's
C, the
funny.
A, the S, and the L brought it up.
The hatred, the hatred, the haterism.
Anybody else?
I just hung out with the fam yesterday, man. Convalescing. Day by day with the elbow. That's about it. I try to keep it steady as she goes here.
Well, you ain't speaking on the solar moment where we got a chance to meet Anetta.
Oh no, that was hey man, I had a blast, man. I really did. It was nice to meet her. Daphne Solar. It was nice to meet the crew, man.
Yeah.
Joining to the counselor's corner.
As it goes, man. It was one for the books.
Nice.
Yeah, the 100 questions, man. It always invokes some heated discussions. Some I can't believe this. I know he didn't. Hey,
Because we can't believe your questions.
Oh yeah, didn't one of the oh yeah, wow.
but let's cut through the minutia. Why should not a partner, whether you're male or female, be concerned about someone's health?
What is
Especially
that?
if you're
That's not no concern
hold
about
on,
nobody else.
hold on. Especially if you're in it for a long term.
What does an abortion now? That's the only thing that I've seen. What does an abortion have to do with your
That's because when I said be concerned about their health and I mentioned abortion, nothing else was concerned. Now, this is the issue with that. People think that when men talk about abortions, that we're targeting women for her moral compass, when that's not the reality.
No, I didn't even take it like that. I honestly, what I took it as is, are you down to get rid of these babies? That's what I took it.
But that's precisely my point. If a man is concerned about the health and the vitality of the potential wife's womb, then abortion is a serious issue
Why?
because the more she has, the less likely she will be to conceive and carry a child to term.
But
You
why
know-
is that your business?
You know what
Why
year
is
we
that
are
your
in?
concern?
2022, right?
Hold
So-
on,
I
Shaughnessy.
mean, and maybe the
Anetta, hold on, Anetta. If I'm looking to have children, why would that not be a concern?
Okay, so it should be, do you want children?
No.
She can allude to the fact that she
You
can't
see, you're
have
trying to
children.
rephrase my question and not answer my question. Answer my question without rephrasing it. Why would it not be
I'm
a
not-
concern for me if I'm looking to have children?
I'm
Because if she
not
isn't, she's gone.
answering
See why it
your
is a
question.
concern.
Then you
And
can't.
if I can say, can I ask
can't
something?
assassinate my
here we
question.
go. It's just the
And I'ma
introduction,
Can I
tell
just
people.
you,
jump in?
if you ask me that question, I will ghost you so quick that your head will spin off of your entire body. If you
I'm
ever
cool with that.
What was the
Why-
question?
Right. One
I'm
reason.
cool with that.
How many
He asked,
abortions have you
how
had?
many abortions have you had?
My question. My reason.
Have you?
being a very
Have
ridiculous
you?
Have you
question.
had
That's
an
the reason
abortion?
why
I
How
asked,
many?
have you?
that is a ridiculous question.
It
Is
re-
because
Thank you.
if you're not living a healthy lifestyle, why is it now you're going to put or make a woman to live, try to ask questions to try to
Or
gain
feel
her
less
healthy
than,
lifestyle
or
or less than,
Thank
depending
you.
on whatever. You may not have had abortions, but what if you're on the verge of a
Okay, do
heart
this
attack?
one.
What if you have clogged arteries? Like, so we come to a date with you and say, have you, gone to the doctor? When the last time you got your blood pressure checked? Or when the
when
last
the last time
time,
you been to the
you
gym?
know,
Like what?
I mean, come on now.
I'll
Come
punch you
on.
in your forehead.
But I asked him, I said, so if you're asking that question about have they had an abortion, can they ask you a question? All right, do you have ED? Can you function?
How
When
long?
have you known me to sidestep any question?
You are not gonna answer that question, or you gonna
When have
you're
you
not gonna tell
known
the
me to
truth.
sidestep any question?
And at your age, I don't know.
When have you see, you're still not answering the question. And now the question pertains to me, you can't answer it because you know I don't sidestep questions.
Let me say this.
Okay.
Let me say this. After y'all left the spot, it was a young lady who said, she said, I don't have no problem with him asking that question. She said, either you don't have any, or maybe you had too damn many, and you should think about your practices. She said, the problem is many women, they think they can ask guys any damn thing, but don't want a man to ask you anything. She says,
Hello.
so I don't have no problem with him asking that question. I didn't see what the big stink
Okay,
was about it.
since I'm late, like what? How do we get here?
Yeah, you know how it goes now.
That's not even none of the
It just-
questions. That's
it was
her.
All right, hold on. I'm sorry. David and I did an interview at Genesis Quad, a really, really very nice restaurant in Buffalo. If you're in the Western New York area, more importantly in the Buffalo area, check that restaurant out. It's really nice. They have a nice ambiance, a nice atmosphere, very good service. I didn't get a chance to eat the food, but from what I saw, it looked very nice. So stop down there. They're located at 1633 Hurdle Avenue. So David and I were doing an interview and we were talking about dating. And I know this is away from what our topic is, but we'll get there eventually. So one of the questions that was asked about dating was how do people feel about it? And I said for me, dating is always fun. It's something I like to do. So they were asking, how do I go about dating? And the 100 question list is not unfamiliar with people who've watched this show and people who are on the panel. So we were going through a list of questions and one came up and I said, I asked about her health. One of the things was I asked about how many abortions and I didn't get past that. And that's when the whole thing just blew up and people just started coming in and asking questions and some were offended, some were taken aback and things of this nature. I'm an open book when it comes to dating. I don't hide anything. Too often, too many people want to send their representatives. When I date, you meeting Herbert. No representatives. I'm going to give it to you raw. If you can deal with it, cool. If you can't and you bounce, I understand that too.
Okay, so what are
But
our
your
topics
question,
tonight?
his questions, Christine, are set up and they're designated for elimination. So they're not healthy questions because he's already got the mind in the process of elimination. So why deal with somebody if you have to put them through the elimination process at the very beginning?
Well, let me say this: if he's dating, if he was dating or seeing like 3 or 4 people, sooner or later somebody's gonna have to get eliminated, right?
You know how I feel about dating. You open dating until you get married.
Period.
I love that pronoun I. See, it always works when women do it, but it never works when men do it. And this is one of the things I
It
talk
doesn't
about.
work if you're
No,
not honest and saying you're exclusive.
exactly.
If you telling somebody you're exclusive,
Exactly.
but
That's
if
the
you
When
are
did
point.
I say
honest,
anything?
you
When did I mention
no.
the term
I'm not saying
exclusive?
you. I'm not
No, we're just
saying
saying in
you.
general.
I'm not
You
saying you.
said your
If you're
comment was
being
that's
right,
what females do versus what males do. And what we're saying is
you
no,
don't tell
it's
people
not
you're
okay for
exclusive.
any person to
Right.
say that they're exclusive and not act that way. But if you're not saying or stated or established that you are exclusive, yes, you are single to date and free to date whoever you
You
want to
are.
until you are
But
married.
what I'm saying is this: the questions that I have for me are for me. They're for me, as already has been established, is to
And
eliminate.
that's
I'm not.
understandable. That's
Can we have
understandable. I
another
get that.
spoon?
And me, like that question wouldn't phase me because just like she said, the young girl on the end, it wouldn't phase me any because it's either you have or you haven't. But at the same time, I feel like that's an intrusive question. You don't know that person's past. I think that that is something that may possibly come out during a relationship. It's something that probably is bound to come out during a relationship.
And
Not
it's
necessarily
triggering. You don't know how emotionally or mentally
you
that
don't know
person
what
is dealing with
happened. You
that
don't know. Yeah.
because they could have been raped. They could have anything. It's a very triggering question.
And see, this is the point that I was getting across. When the question came about, everybody that was offended or didn't like it took it in a negative manner. When it's just a question, it's no different than a woman asking a man how much money he makes or what he does for a living. Women don't view those questions in the same prison because for women, it's a fact finding mission. It's okay for them to question what a man does for a living, how much he earns, where he lives, what he drives. And we're saying, or the women are saying, that those can be triggering. So how do we know that a job loss wasn't triggering for a man? That a reduction in income or $10,000 to $15,000 isn't triggering for him? He had to sell his home in a divorce, downsize, so he could come back and get back. And that's what I'm saying. The
Now I
questions
like
work
this
for women,
topic. Tell a woman how
but
many
they don't
STDs.
work for men.
Tell a woman how
Well,
many STDs you done had.
Zero.
Maybe this
But see, I'm
maybe
comfortable
this
with
could be a
admitting that.
topic for next Monday. Because don't we have an agenda for today?
Yeah, we do have
Right, you're right.
agenda.
You are absolutely right.
We do have an agenda. So we're gonna
I was
move
just
on.
I mean,
waiting.
this is rather involved. You can already see how involved this is. So that's all I'm saying.
Somebody has a lot of feedback.
it's me.
It's
Hold
not
on.
me.
Oh,
So Nuki said, "I'm 61 years old. No man never asked me no BS like that." And she said, "I bet you're single." So
The
all right,
comedian,
yeah.
well, she always got jokes. You know me, I'm a heckler. So she can't heckle me.
So let's get on task. So one of the things is, what are you willing to keep from your partner? In the original,
How many abortions?
boom.
Woo. Okay, I'm sorry. Please continue.
so the original
I'm gonna
premise,
behave.
the original premise was a guy and a woman. They're engaged, um, and she decides the guy's 16-year-old daughter ends up pregnant. The soon-to-be stepmom takes her to get an abortion
Oh,
without telling the
Out of
dad.
line.
So
where's the
Out of
he,
line.
mother? Where's the mother?
I didn't get this. Was just a talking point
That wasn't part of the
that was given
story.
to me. Yeah.
Mm.
So they end up doing that. So the father, he breaks off the engagement and stops speaking to his daughter.
Hmm.
So,
Mm.
and that's
Mm.
just one of the things. And so it led me to look at the broader perspective on what are some things that you would keep away from your partner that you like. I'm not going to tell him this, or I'm not
That
going to
is
tell her that.
It honestly, it depends on the man that you are dealing with when it comes to this specific thing in general. Is that something that I would be willing to keep away from my children's father? Hell yeah. um I just whatever. I don't really think that.
So you
um
saying? So you're saying if you're once your daughter
it
get,
depends on the
get
man,
of
so let me
age, you wouldn't tell him. You wouldn't tell him.
no, especially if so. Now let me correct this. It depends on the type of person. If I told him and he is not going to say anything to our daughter, then I would tell him. But if I tell him and he's going to make her feel bad, less than, and anything else that we have already discussed, I'm not going to tell him because she don't need that. Um, and I mean, I guess it depends on the situation. It's like it's a loaded question because we can raise our daughters to be however we want them to be, and it could turn out to be little freaks. So maybe if she a little freak and maybe she do need her father to get in her butt about some things, and maybe then that's when I would tell him. But if it's just a simple, I did this, oops, my bad, I'm coming to you as a safe space as my parent instead of going to one of my little homegirls, I would definitely keep that away. What's problematic is the stepmother. I would hope that stepmother had told this child's mom and not left both of the parents out.
Is this question pertaining to that scenario?
Yeah,
or just in general?
Well,
I mean, I know your answer is, but I'm asking.
Oh, okay, I got
well,
you.
I just used that was the premise, that particular thing, but I just wanted to look at a broader perspective, like what are some of the other things. So we can attack that situation, or we could, you could discuss other
So
things that you
is
made.
this a husband or a significant other? Not
They said
necessarily.
engaged.
Okay, significant other, fiance.
Yeah. But it actually can go both ways. It could have been,
Right.
You could say the boyfriend took the fiance's daughter
Correct.
and did the same. How would you feel if
I
your
think
fiance
she was
did
out of
that?
line if we're talking about this particular
Right.
situation. I think
Right.
she was way out of line. But
what if the mother gave her the blessing, or the mother was like, "Yeah,
then the
go
mother
ahead."
should take her.
Then the mother should have did it. Yeah.
True.
But as far as what I would be willing to keep from my husband, fiance, or whatever, I'm kind of like, I don't know. On the one hand, I'm an open book, and on the other hand, there's things I keep to myself. If I certain problems I have, that's just me. I shut down. I don't talk about them. I don't want to talk about them. I want to find a solution for them, fix it, then I'm ready to talk about them. And sometimes, when dating, people have gotten mad at me because they're like, "Why didn't you share that with me?" But I don't know. It's just something that I don't do.
So what happens? So what happens down the road, like if you don't originally share it with the dad, and as they get older, the child may say, "We never told you, Dad, but this happened." And y'all had a good, decent relationship, or whatever the case is. Is that ever a concern? Like, damn, like now this
So
man.
now
I'm a
are we
square
back
with my
on that
stepdaughter because
topic?
now you ain't
I mean,
keeping
on that
secret.
scenario, and now are you talking about?
I'm just saying overall. I'm just throwing stuff out there.
Okay,
just
but I'm
add to
saying with that topic now, are you talking about two people that down the line they're not together anymore, or they're still together?
No, I think
They're still together.
they're still together, and now
But he broke
I
up
guess
with
they're
her.
married now because I would imagine that 10 years later they're married, and the daughter tells dad, "Hey, yeah, stepmom took me when I was 16 to go get an abortion, and we didn't tell you. She definitely kept my secret." I would definitely square up with my stepdaughter at that point because, girl, why?
Yeah,
It wasn't
that could
necessary.
cause, right, that would cause some serious problems. But I just wouldn't put myself in that position. That's
Well,
that's too serious.
my
Some
thought
things
is,
you just can't keep to yourself. When it comes to somebody else's children, that's just not something you do, in my opinion.
So
Because if
so
It's
someone
so
did that
many
to
variables.
me,
Yeah.
so
if someone did that to me, I would be 100% furious and wouldn't want to deal with them. I don't care if we were married.
so I guess
So
in a
it's
situation
I
like
could
that,
be like double advocate on here. It's so many variables to go with that. When I
Right.
look at the medical aspect, um, we're held to hold PHI, so we can't release information. Um, so if you're put in that situation and the 16-year-old say, "Hey, I need you to go with me because I'm going to take care of something," they have to sign a confidentiality just to be there with them during that phase. So they really can't say anything. But like on the other side, as a parent, I would probably be arrested in jail because I think that is such a violation.
Right. But I
You
would
know,
rather I would rather like, and I just think, as a mother, my kids having stepmom, whatever, I would be definitely be upset. But there would be a limit to that because one, she was comfortable enough with her.
right?
That was a safe place for her. And again, I would rather it be an adult woman than one of these little girls or one of her little friends.
So,
So
but how you're describing it right now, that's different. That's that woman, the stepmother, is not in a relationship with you. So I can see your point, but that's not about how it would affect the relationship. So if
I got
like
you.
I don't remember who said it. What if the shoe was on the other foot? If my husband took my daughter, his stepdaughter, to go get
Yeah,
an
that's a
abortion
little weird though. That
and
my
didn't
daughter would
tell me,
find a safe space with the
we're
step.
just turning it around. So it's not.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying because usually as a woman you're going to come to a woman.
right.
Um,
Right? It could be
but if
different
it were
directions.
on
Right?
the flip side, then I would be beyond angry. I can't even describe how angry I would be.
if I could just interject real quick. So I don't know about y'all, but I believe there's some things that I'm taking to the grave. So there's some things that may have happened in life that you don't want to share with anybody, but somebody knows.
Right.
And there was someone that you had to trust. Um, for whatever situation, or they so happen to have seen you in the midst of the situation, and it's going to the grave though. If it come up, it come up. If it don't, it don't. But hopefully it don't. I'm taking it to the grave.
I
That's
just
just
couldn't see
real.
myself putting myself in a situation.
I don't.
so
No,
If,
So
if
that's
my
wait,
very
so
if
just
my
let me.
16-year-old
So I'm just
stepdaughter
gonna let me
came
give my
to
little.
me,
Let me give my little time
okay,
real quick. So honestly, it is a very touchy situation, knowing that I've been like stepmother to somebody's kids, and having kids of my own. I'm with you on this one, Shaughnessy, about the fact that I just hope mine will get someone that they could trust to take them, that will lead them and be a support for them. Would I be would I wish they have came to me and trusted me with it? Absolutely. And
right.
on the other end, if someone came to me and they said, "Listen, I need you. I don't want my dad to know." You know what? I've worked in mental health where you like have these HIPAA clause that you can't share people's information.
I'll be doing
I,
dads
I
like shit.
respect it. I would probably be there for her and hit and take that hit. If the father felt disrespected by it, to be honest with you, I will be there for her because I once was young and I know there were some decisions that I may have had to make that I didn't want my mother and my father to know.
And
And
I would be
I needed somebody to be there for me.
yeah.
So I'm just gonna say I'm
I
a little bit on that. I would be there for her and I would say, hey, I did that in the best interest as a mother figure to her, that he would respect that if you're gonna be with me, you should trust that I'm making the best decision and the decision of your daughter, but I'm there to help her be safe through
Mm,
her process. So I'm someone she can trust. And if he can't respect that, then go on and find somebody else. But it wasn't to be behind his back, but it's to be a support to her.
All right, so now we got to get some men. We got some men. We got to get some men, and we're gonna go with Willie, did Ed, and
I
did,
got a point because I think I think no matter what, if the daughter came to the fiance or the daughter came to the father because she felt comfortable enough to do that, his role or her role should have been, well, we need to go talk to your mother. We need to go talk to your father and work through
And
this
that's
together.
where I give
Because the thing is,
support
there's
for.
no, well, I'm taking her privacy, or I'm watching out for her HIPAA violation. HIPAA violation has nothing to do with that. That child is coming to you because they felt comfortable enough to say, I need to go deal with this situation. As that responsible adult, that person should have said, well, we need to go talk to your mother or your father, whoever that parent is, and let them know what's going on. For example,
and that's the last time I would ever tell y'all anything as a child.
And say you did go take that child to take that child. Can I finish, Shaughnessy, please? So you don't take that child to the clinic and something happens and the child has starts bleeding and goes into some type of trauma or something. Now there's a whole situation that's going on beyond just that secret. You taking that child and saying, well, because you don't want your father to know or your mother to know, I'm going to hide that secret with you. You are wrong. That is not your place. That is not your place to keep that child secret. That child, we will say, okay, well, we need to go and tell your father or your mother what's going on in this situation so we can address this together as a family. Because that secret is eventually going to come out. And like you said, when it does come out, now you've been married to that person 3, 4, 5, 10 years, and now that person finds out you've been deceiving them with something so vital for 5, 10 years about their child. There's no way in the world. There's no way in the world we could take that privacy of a child over a situation like that, especially medical like that, where they could end up losing their life in that procedure. There's no way in the world you should do that. No way in the world.
Let me add that to this, and then I want to bring in Ed and the urban therapist. One of the things is maybe the child came to you because they want, like, I'm afraid to go talk to my dad, but you can help me with some guidance and maybe speak up for me or kind of soften the blow. Like, listen, like, don't get on her, don't yell at her. Like, be there for her. We're gonna be supportive of her. She made a mistake or whatever the case.
Or act like you don't know, but I'm gonna take her. I'm gonna take her, but act like you don't know.
It could be something, but I think he shouldn't be left in the dark. But Ed, go ahead. Give us your spiel on this.
Who?
Ed.
Is he frozen? He might be frozen.
Y'all know my man has technical difficulties issues.
Urban therapist.
Hey, salute everybody. Salute. I finally made it onto the one show.
All right. Appreciate you coming.
Salute. Very interesting topic. Now, my perspective is that some secrets is meant to be secrets. Then there are some secrets that aren't meant to be secrets. Like, for example, y'all using an example of the 16-year-old child. I believe that's not the type of secret that you want to keep, but you'll have to do your due diligence with that situation. That situation is very sensitive, and the parents, they absolutely do need to know about what's going on with their child, but it's the way they handle that, especially if the child is confined into another adult in that situation. So in that situation, you have to kind of navigate around where it'd be the best course of action, where just like the one the lady was saying, where the child won't eventually reject everyone and be resentful to everyone in that situation. Now there's other situations where we have to keep secrets. Like, say for example, me and my wife, we're both social workers, right? And we have the tendency to talk about our different cases that we have while we're working. The only difference is that due to HIPAA violations and stuff, right? We don't give out the names of our clients that we deal with. You know what I'm saying? By us being married, we don't do that. We keep that secret because that's professionally, and we're keeping our one job as professional as possible. But even in relationship, it's some things in relationships that's meant to be kept a secret, as long as it don't affect the whole dynamics of the relationship. So that is my spill on it.
May I say something real quick too? I take my daughters to the doctors. I could not, at 14 and 15, OBGYN, they would not let me know anything. So doctors are keeping, they would not, would not let me, and if my daughter said, no, you can't share with my mother, they can't share with me. Right. So at that age, at the age of 14, and my son was another one, I'm in there at the doctor's office with him. The doctor said, can you please leave? I have you at that age, at 14, we no longer are, they're no longer considered, oh, I'm the parent, you got to tell me. No, it's not like that anymore. So, I mean, you can say what you want to say, but the truth is, even you cannot go to none of your kids' doctors and tell them to tell you what's going on in that room unless your child gives consent at the age of 14.
So
but that's not the scenario that we're
and that's
talking
the
about.
same scenario, and that's why I'm taking that same scenario to say that's my reasoning.
So,
if I can, and I trust, and
that's
my question.
That's my reasoning.
My question is: so, as a 16-year-old, can you go to an abortion clinic by yourself?
Can you what?
No, you actually have to have somebody who actually is an adult to actually sign off on the procedure, and this is what Willie was speaking about.
Yeah, and that depends. It's state by state, whatever, too.
Correct.
And also the
No,
doctor,
they don't have
they
to
can
sign off on that.
clearance.
Okay.
They do not have to sign off on that at 16.
But the one thing a parent can't do is make a child get an abortion.
Correct.
No.
This is what just to cover what Anetta was saying. The thing that Willie was saying. So we're taking abortions as if the procedure doesn't come with any complications, and this is what Willie was alluding to when he was speaking about that. If something arises to where she's hemorrhaging and she doesn't heal after the process, then somebody else has to be there to make a medical decision on her behalf, and it can't be the step parent because she's not first of kin.
Well, no, that's not really how that happens at all.
What do you mean?
Delegate your.
That's not you. You
I
put
can name
down
one of y'all
an
as
emergency.
Right, I can name one of y'all as my emergency contact, and y'all can make the decision for me. It don't have to be
at 16, a child does not have to designate a parent or a legal guardian.
But what I'm saying is, if that isn't done, the average 16-year-old is not even concerned about that.
I don't know
That's
what
what
you're saying. It sounds like you piggybacked on your question. I'm confused.
No, it's not my question. I'm just saying
that's
what
I was saying. I wasn't saying that. That's not what I was talking about. I was talking about the fact that you are calling yourself keeping a child's secret.
As of right
go
now,
have an abortion.
so we're gonna.
Let me finish, Shaughnessy. Let me finish. You are keeping a child's secret to go have an abortion, and that's not your place. So you taking that child in there, and something that end up happening to that child.
Right.
That makes it even worse, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if that child has medical issues or could have some kind of complication, and now all of a sudden they're hemorrhaging or they're going through some situation, and now the father ends up having to get contacted, and he comes in there and find out that you done snuck and brought their child to have an abortion. Now, how do you think he's going to feel then? It's going to be even worse. But taking that child and say, all right, we need to go talk to you. We need to go talk to your father and address this as a family, especially if you're supposed to be marrying this person and going to be a family, then y'all need to work through things as you would be a family. If you're going to sneak and do things with the child and don't tell the father, that's manipulation right there. Why? I wouldn't want to marry somebody like that. Yeah. Because there's always going to be something that, it's going to be some secret. Why would you do a secret like that? Something so vital, and call yourself for the child.
Hey, I just searched it. I just searched this in the state of Texas. I just searched the law in the state of Texas. It says that the state law requires that the parent or legal legal guardian provide written permission for unmarried minors. Now, the only
Bingo.
exception to that,
There's
the only
yeah,
exception to the rule if that minor has been emancipated.
Right.
so
Okay,
there
but
is
that's not
also
every state.
Yeah, each
there's
state is
It's a
different.
I
state
was
by
just
Yeah.
going
state,
It's
to say,
state
different,
by
yeah.
state.
Yeah,
I'll
each
put a
state is
link in
different.
there. I put a link in there if you guys want to check out. There's a chart that says, different things about different people. Well, where I am is funny because it's an alternative parental consent. And I get it. My only concern with this would be the child turning to someone else without their best interest at heart. And I think that again, it depends on the person, because if your partner is an even keeled person, is not going to go up in flames about it, is not going to just be totally disgusted. It's just the daughter completely scared and mortified of telling her father of this, then that's something different. But if it's gonna bring her some real hurt, harm, and danger, and I know for a fact, based on this child, she's gonna go be irresponsible and may take one of her little dingy homegirls or one of them, then I would be willing to, and regardless of what happens with the relationship, because at the end of the day, I'd rather that child be safe than sorry. And if it is what it is, it just has to be that way.
Nah, I'm not keeping that secret. I would support her in the manner of speaking with one or both of the parents with her.
Thank you.
Being there for as a support for her in that capacity.
So now, would you
trying to be
One
the
thing
voice?
I do want to say,
Would you go to the parent beforehand by yourself?
It would depend on the girl.
Got you. Right.
So I would really try to talk her into let's talk to him together. But I would offer, do you want me to prep him first? Do you want me to talk to him first?
Right.
That would be the option she would get
Either
from
way,
me.
you gonna find out. You don't tell her.
Right.
What
Tell her.
would
But
be an issue of molestation? What would be an
Well, if
issue
it's
of
an issue of
molestation?
molestation,
Going to the authorities then.
I'm telling.
That's even more reason.
If
Well,
it's
That's
molestation,
even
I'm
more
telling.
reason to tell it.
There's no
Your
secret.
child been molested. You
One
gonna
thing-
go
If
hide
it's
the
an issue of
abortion and the
molestation,
molestation? Please.
everyone on this panel, I believe, work with children, so should be mandated. At that point, as a mandated reporter, you need to be talking.
Yeah.
the one thing I'm going to say is that
Everybody
is
gets
this:
that
I don't
right.
plan on, God willing, God forbid, taking anybody to get any abortion.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so let me just say that first. Secondly, this is about if I would, but yes, if somebody's being molested, I would definitely say we need to tell somebody. If the same thing what you said, Christine, I would definitely have that conversation with the young lady, or saying, listen, you sure you don't want to talk to your dad? I think, or your mom. Have that, try to get them to have those conversations. I'm not saying I would be like, oh yeah, sure, let's go. Now I think I'm a little smarter than that. But one thing I'm not going to do is shame someone for making decisions for their life, because that's her life. And if she's adamant, I've worked in child adolescent, I've worked in different capacities with youth. And by God's grace, I've never had this situation, and I pray I never do. But what I'm saying is that if I'm someone that she just said outright, listen, if you tell somebody I'm running away, blah, 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 if it gets to that point, I'd rather be that person to be there for her. And then maybe afterwards, I don't know. I would take that chance because I just don't want her to be in. I don't know what the situation may be. I just don't want her to be put in a. But the fact of the matter is, Will. But let me say this to you, Will. I hear your tone, but you can calm that down because you do your life and I do mine.
Calm that down.
Don't come for me, sir. Watch your tone.
My feeling is this:
Watch your tone.
if the
Calm
girl
that down.
If the girl were
I said what I said. It's no, I
I
don't care
said
if she
what I
run away
said.
or jumping
Watch
off a
your
bridge or
tone.
whatever.
Watch your
Yeah.
tone. Because
Uh,
the bottom line
They
is,
gonna tell
sir,
you that.
don't come to me as
That,
if you want to
that
try to
was
make
not
it seem, oh,
directed at
how
you
dare
whatsoever.
you?
So I don't know
You
what you're
live your
coming down
life and
about.
I will live mine and I will do what
Remember
I need to
that
do
is
according for Lakia,
And my
not
comment
Will.
had
So don't
nothing to
come
do
to
with
me,
Oh
sir.
you when I
my
Don't
make
come to me. Make sure you
God,
take
Hold on,
care of
hold
your
on, hold
taking
on,
things
hold on,
real
hold on,
I'm
personal.
not.
hold on,
I'm not.
hold
You
on,
taking
Guess
things
who I'm
real
not?
hold
Guess who
personal.
on,
I am
folks.
not?
I don't
Let
know
me
where
let me
that came
remind
from.
you who I am
Must
not.
I
I
muted?
am not a
That's why you got
pregnant
off
on
the
off
drug
the
talk
stool.
again
You
today.
can't run me away. You
I'm
can't
about
run
to
me
start
away with that
muting.
shirt on your sleeve.
My
Listen,
comment
listen,
had nothing, was not directed at
You
you,
can't
and
run me
whatever
away, sir.
reason for you
Lakia,
to take it
Like
personal,
that. Don't call me from the
for you to
bottom of the
take it
I'm
stairs.
personal,
calling
had
you from
But
the.
what
You
nothing
see
to do
I'm
her
with you.
saying,
calling you. I'm
call
calling you
Billy.
from the bottom of the
Watch your
stairs.
tone.
I'm gonna call
Okay.
you right face to face.
Hold on.
Watch
I'm
your
gonna call you
tone,
face
sir.
to face. If I'm talking to you, I'm calling you face to face.
I'm
I
talking to
wasn't
you,
talking
and
to
it's
you.
face
I
to
said
Are
what
face.
y'all
I
kidding me?
said.
And I
oh
said what I
I
my
said
said.
exactly
God,
what
my
I
Mute,
said.
Lord.
mute,
I have
mute,
something.
I
mute,
said
Oh
mute,
exactly
my
what I
mute,
Watch
said.
your
I don't care
tone.
what
God.
excuse you give
mute.
for doing wrong. It's
You
wrong.
heard
I,
it.
It's
Mute
wrong.
me
let,
It
and
don't
not mute
one
matter.
thing,
him.
You
one
Don't
can give
thing
me
mute
all
that
the
me
can
and
excuse.
not mute him.
let's say this.
It's the
Now
both
mute
of us.
both of y'all.
Let's say
I'm
this.
No,
trying to
you
mute both
didn't
of
mute
y'all.
If
him. You
we're
didn't mute him.
realistic, if we're realistic, the parents that everybody on this, for the most part, the parents that are on this panel, 9 times out of 10, our children would not be in this position where they're going to go to another woman before they go to us or their father. That's just point blank, period. However, comma, if it does happen, like, and I had a good stepmother growing up, I had a wonderful stepmother. I don't really see me ever going to her before I went to my mom. And I know for a fact that my mom would keep that secret for me from my father. No, they weren't together, but my mom's definitely gonna keep that secret. Or she's gonna tell him no. I can't even say she's gonna keep that secret because she probably wouldn't. He under no circumstances could say anything to me about it. That's how that would
So,
go. And I
so
think that's an okay take
the
on it.
piece I want to add to it is, and it kind of piggyback on what Lakia was saying. Kids will make threats and say,
Get
if you
from
do
over
this,
there.
I'm gonna do that.
Go.
Even in my role in the schools, they like, you can't tell Mr. Glover, you can't tell, or this is gonna happen. Unfortunately, you came to me, I gotta tell. I
Right.
gotta tell. So if you say, oh, I'm not gonna speak to you no more, my
It's a risk.
ultimate
Or
concern is your safety. And you may feel like that for a couple days, but eventually you'll come around and you'll realize he only did what he had to do. He had to
So-
do that for his job or whatever the case is. So no matter what, it's in the best interest of the child when you make a decision. So that's the
So-
ultimate goal.
So like you said that, and that's my feeling. Even if a child was like, well, if you tell, I'm gonna run away or something or some other dramatic whatever, I'm still telling because to me,
You
you're even
problematic.
saying that
You have a
tells me
problem.
that you're not mentally stable and you need help. You
I
need.
can agree
I'm
with
not
that.
saying they're crazy. I'm not saying I'm not trying to say that at all. But we all know that age right there, you know, everything is either the sky is falling or it's, you know, sunshine and bunny rabbits. You know, everything
Yeah,
is
it's a
one
very
extreme or the
volatile
other.
state, age. Very volatile.
Yes. So with that being said, I really feel that's even more of a reason to because they could. Okay, let's say you went and you took them, you know, because you know they felt safe talking to you, and this was a bad situation for them, and this is what they really want to do. Again, with this extremism, with that age range, now they've gone through with it. Now they're not dealing with their emotions behind it well. Now what do you do? So I just think it's better to get the parents involved. And even like I said, I would rather be the voice of reason talking to the parents to talk them down off the ledge if they're mad than to but to let them make the the best decision for their child because I feel like they know better than me how to deal with their own child.
All right.
I would
So,
never want. I'm like you, Lakia. I don't want my kids even feeling like, I wouldn't want them to ever feel like they had to come with anybody else.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't know.
I agree with you, and Christina and Lakia. I agree. I would never want my children to feel that.
I pray they don't, but you know,
Right.
the truth is, kids do get scared to come to the parents. You know, that's why we got so many lost kids now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I mean,
because they,
I dealt with teenage pregnancy with my kids, right? With two of them. And my oldest daughter, she wrote me a note. And she was like, you know, I'm not able to talk to you anymore, da 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 da. And, you know, I had to come. I'm like, girl, what is this? I'm like, I'm still the same person. You're the one that is keeping secrets and staying away. I'm
I think
still the
it's more
same
about
person.
disappointment.
You can
It's
still
more
talk
about
to me.
Disappointment.
Exactly.
Disappointing
It
you.
was her fears,
Yeah.
her unfounded fears, because of course, in that situation, oh my God, what is my mother gonna think? What is she gonna say? She's gonna be so mad, da 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 da. You know. But I'm, like I said before, I'm solution oriented. Okay, let's talk about this.
well, I'm going to share with you. I'm going to be transparent to some degree. I ain't sharing everything. I had a child, which I've shared this. I've had a child that, yeah, I can be transparent and be real and speak the truth and not come faking jacks. I don't do that. And y'all know that. I keep it 100.
Look here.
If you like it or not. So this is what I'm going to say. Don't call me.
I'm
So
calling you.
I had a child at 16.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell my mother until I was about 6 months pregnant because I
Okay.
knew she would probably want me to go get an abortion. That's what my fear was, that she would want me to get an abortion. So I was playing basketball in high school with a pregnant belly, with a child. So at times, I don't know about anybody else, I was afraid of my mother. I didn't have a relationship with my mother. My father was not there. I didn't have a relationship with him. I was the only child. I did have a stepsister, and we didn't even have a good relationship. So from there, I can understand. I'm not speaking out of a situation where I haven't been in. I've been in a similar situation where it was scary, and sometimes you don't want people to know. And then finally, when they found out, she actually did try to get me to get an abortion, and it was too late. So, and I had to hide it. So you just, I got, God forbid anybody, I wouldn't want anyone to ever have to experience that type of situation, but I have as a woman. So when it comes to sometimes when a man has have opinions, I get it, but it is not that easy as you want to. Sometimes it's tough when you're a child. You're just scared of what may come of it, and that's my situation. I was scared. So
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me, and for the hip hop fans who are my age, I'm 50, it reminds me of the song Daddy's Little Girl. And I want to say it was by Moni Love, but I could be wrong, where she chronicled this particular situation. And I can't remember what the end result was, but the thing that there's a lot of working things here at play. First of all, we don't know what the relationship between the biological father and the daughter is. We don't know how she was raised. We don't know if the biological mother, has any sway in that daughter's life. So that daughter could be feeling ostracized where she can't confide in the father. The mother's not there, so she goes to the next logical person, at least in her mind, who she believes she might be able to trust. So that individual, unfortunately, is tasked with weighing the benefits of having this child confide in them versus telling the biological father or not telling the biological father. Now, me personally, I would want to know, because once you sow that seed, anything that's built and comes of that decision is deceitful. And I'm not staying around. I don't care what we built. It's built on a house of lies, deceit, and I want nothing to do with deception. You guys already know how I feel about being misled and being lied to. That's something I cannot and will not tolerate.
Well, you're
You
not
do
being
know
misled or
her. You
lied
do
to unless
her.
unless you ask the question. She's not lying to you. She's just not disclosing.
Yeah.
But one thing
Well,
I'll
we
say,
know that would be one of Herb's
Lies by
questions.
but
omission
that's
are still
this. I'm
lies.
sure there's things that you're disclosing that's true. Now, I'm never gonna say that. One thing I'll tell you: when I was married, real talk, I didn't like my ex-husband's cooking at all. So I would go
Did you tell
and
him that?
try to eat.
You ain't
Yeah,
like
I
his
did. I couldn't stand
cooking.
garlic. Garlic when I was pregnant, I couldn't stand garlic, and he would put garlic on everything. So anyway, I would start eating out spiritually. So honestly, spiritually, I was like, it started saying to me, "Look, if you don't be honest with him, you starting to build a web of lies, like a web, a spider web, and it's just gonna keep growing and keep growing, keep growing." So I'm never saying tell lies in your marriage or your relationship. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that in some situations there are some things, as he said, you don't share in your relationship, and there's some things you do. I pray, God forbid, because your words can find you, that I would never have to deal with this type of situation. But what I am saying is that in that, if it came to it where I had to be that person, or I felt like I had to be that for her or him, whoever, whatever situation may come, I pray I make the right decision. But it's going to be, but if it's something I have to, I'll be there for that person. I will. If I have to be that person, I'm just being honest.
Let me
Yeah,
say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this right quickly. Does it, maybe not on this level? This is probably I'm not gonna say a unique situation. I'm sure it happens, but for the most part, I think that's what mothers do. If you do this, I ain't gonna tell your dad. I'm not gonna tell your dad that you got in trouble in school or whatever the case is. He may be working. So I think that happens a lot. That if dad
Mhm.
is not right there or he's working or whatever, he doesn't always get all the information. And I guess mothers try to weigh it out. Is this something worth telling him? Or she may say, once I get him started, he gonna go on for the rest of the night. But it could be that chill father that just like, yeah, okay, like you should have told me, or he's a man of few words. So I think it depends on the individual, but I think it happens a lot of times that sometimes dads don't always get the information.
Mhm. Yeah, and I agree with that too. But also at the same time, I just believe that some things ain't meant to be said, because some things could be way more destructive by telling it versus you just keeping it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, she was giving an example by cooking. By her relationship where her husband or significant other, by her telling her that probably messed up his own pride and ego. So now he's feeling insecure about his cooking when it didn't have nothing to do with that. It just had something to do with her pregnancy. But due to the person that he is, he'll take it to that extreme level. That's extreme level, and that go back to what you said on Herb as well. That sometimes it'll be destructive. You know what I'm saying? Two people. If they receive that information, it really does depends on the individual. This is not like a generalization of everyone, because everyone is unique and everyone is different,
Right.
depending on the information they receive. Just like I started off earlier, I even say this about me and my wife. There are certain things that we tell each other. There are certain things that we don't tell each other. Even though my wife don't tell me, I don't hold her accountable for that or anything like that. I don't pester her about it or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? I trust her in whatever thing that she's keeping from me. Likewise, she trusts me with whatever information that I'm keeping from her, because I know it's better for it to not be said, unless it's something extremely important that we got to tell each other about.
And that's a key piece.
I've done that.
Trusting people with that information. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's key.
Mm-hmm.
That is, because like it just in general, I just pray that I'm never trying to be deceptive to anybody. I really, Lord knows that's not my desire in life, to be that type of person, even from my mate. But like you just said, and you said it perfectly, and I appreciate you being on the show with and sharing your thoughts. Is that there's some things he's not going to say to me. There's things like men do that I'm dating or whatever, we're married. He's never going to disclose. And it's not to be deceitful to me. It's like, she don't need to know all that. And if it show up, I hope I'm woman enough to be like, babe, why didn't you tell me? You didn't. Oh, well, I understand, no problem. We're good. I trust you. That's what relationships should be, and that's what my hope is. If I ever, God forbid, had to be put in a situation that he would know, like, you know what, I believe you made the right decision for her or him or our family, and I trust you. And that's the hope that I'm having. That we have in a relationship.
Let me ask y'all this question. So, if it's a son, and the dad just happens to come home early, and the boy's 16, and he got a girl at the house, and clearly things are going down, and the father talks to him, but he never tells the mother. But eventually, you find out. Are you gonna be upset at the dad, or you gonna be like, okay, whatever, the dad handled it, or whatever the case is?
I would be upset, but I wouldn't, not overly so.
Yeah,
Now
I
the question-
would definitely feel some type of way, but
Yeah, I would feel some type
it's
of
that
way.
trusting your partner that he handled it correctly,
Mm-hmm.
that he
Now-
handled
now-
it correctly, and I don't know. He knew you was going to, because I already know. I would have flipped. I would have flipped. So them keeping that between them, I don't think that's detrimental.
Well,
Yeah.
well, if that be the case, then right off the bat, that becomes a double standard. Because just like I stated earlier, everybody agreed to, what I was talking about. But now, since Herbert threw out that scenario, like, oh, no, I'd be mad now. No.
Well, I would be
No,
upset.
I'm saying I would be upset, but at the
upset,
same
but it
time,
wouldn't
I'm
be
understanding and why he
earth-shattering.
kept that secret for his son.
Yeah,
I would understand.
I mean,
So I would be upset, but it wouldn't be detrimental. And
Exactly.
it's not
I wouldn't
even
be upset.
nothing that I would fuss about. It's just an L that I have to take. I'm gonna be upset quietly to myself, but he did it for a reason. Why? Most likely my partner knows me and he knows I would have flipped. It was no reason for that reaction when he handled it appropriately.
I agree.
Yeah, and the real question would be, why would you be upset if you say that you
Right.
trust your husband's decision? You shouldn't be upset.
No, I
about
would be
it, period.
upset at the action that
I'm
he had a
human.
little girl in my house.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Okay.
That's what I would be upset about. That's why
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not upset because my partner.
But
kept
like
it from me.
Nakia said, he would know that my reaction would be a lot different than his,
Exactly.
and his reaction would probably be the most effective.
Yeah, and the father
Right.
may when the father tells you, y'all may be laying
sorry,
around and be like, guess what, man? Little DJ, I came on. Little DJ had some little girl up in the house, whatever. I'm like,
Innocent enough, yeah.
Yep.
and you
'Cause
might
I'm
be like,
headed
oh,
straight
is
to
that
his
funny
room
to
to
you?
go
That's
fuss. He gonna
funny
have
to
to
you?
pull me back. Wait.
I
Get
don't
put
know.
on the
I
couch
already
and
handled it.
everything, huh?
Don't do that.
I think I'm talking without, because even though my son is 11, he gives me too much information all the time, and I always look at him like, dog, like you have a whole father, an active father, like, because sometimes I be stuck, like I don't know. One day he was in the shower, he was calling me, and I'm like, yeah, what's wrong? He like, my balls hurt, and I'm like, yo, what? Like,
He's gonna. I mean,
you can't talk to me like that. I'm not your friend. like, you can't talk. And my son is not a disrespectful child, but he was just like, yeah, no, I was just saying they hurt, and I'm like, okay.
He's probably gonna
I'm
say
not-
he's probably comfortable saying that to mom.
Right.
But you know what?
He's comfortable saying that stuff to his dad, but then he says it to me, and I'm just like, I'm stuck. Or he'll another time he's like, yeah, when I woke up this morning, my penis was hard, and I'm just like, yeah, talk to your father. Did you tell your father?
You know what? Sometimes
You
you
have
got
no experience
to
explaining
You
that to
should've-
him?
You should have said, did you get anything on your sheets?
I think I would have broke out.
Yeah, you know they're at the age
Yeah.
Wet dream.
I think I would have broke out like, did you have a wet dream or something? Like I would like, I would have just tried to have a conversation.
When I tell y'all I be speechless, I be stuck because my son is so direct. I think sometimes he just forgets, like I am your mother. He told me this whole scenario talking about a girl that liked him and his homeboy was dating her, and I'm just like, wait, what? Like, I don't know why we're talking. Like, I don't know. And then I try to fix my face and my reaction, and I'm just like, I need the father. Your son has something to tell you. I told him to refer to you. Just go ahead and bring it on up because I'm not having this conversation with him. And I'm still always speechless, and he still just comes to me and just blurted out like he didn't remember the last time I responded.
I'm sorry, and I know you guys are not going to agree with this, but sometimes I don't trust their dad talking to them about it because I've heard some of his advice.
Wow.
I've heard some of his advice, and it was horrible.
What?
I think my kid's father, I will say, I do believe and I do trust in whatever he says, whether it's my daughter or whether it's my son, that is between them. I don't even have to know. Like, I do trust that the other parent is going to lead them in the right direction. Again, that's one of those things. I'll be upset inwardly and probably at the acts of it, but outwardly I know that their father is not going to let anything happen to them or lead them in the wrong direction. So if they decide to tell him, and I don't think we keep secrets. We may email and say, oh, don't tell nothing, don't say nothing, but this happened today, but I already talked to him, and I'll get that from my son's father a lot. I already talked to Zion, but this happened today, this happened today, this happened today. And I'm like, what? You said what? And he like, look, chill out, shut up, be quiet. I already said something, do not say nothing to him. And of course, sometimes my son will tell me and I have to act like it's new, and sometimes he doesn't. And I'm just like, dang, I wonder when he's going to tell me about this.
Hey, here's a situation Here's a situation I experienced with my oldest daughter. One day we was at the grocery store, and my oldest daughter, she was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Dad, I need some Maxi Pads." I like, what? Since when you started having periods? But she was uncomfortable with telling me that she started her period, but she let her mom know. And I didn't realize that until we was actually at the store, and she asked me about that. Like, oh yeah, Dad, by the way, I need to get some
told you
Maxi
that.
Pad. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
I'm like, okay.
And she probably assumed that
you already knew that her mother told you.
No, she didn't even tell me.
And she knew she was uncomfortable telling you, so she figured her mama tell him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's a larger. Go ahead, David.
Now I want to say, Ed been on here. Ed, you got volume? Could you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on a different
you got
setup
anything you want
now.
to add to this? We've been saying a lot.
Sorry, yeah. Y'all been saying a lot. As I was going, I'm going to say, because there's a lot of things you guys was covering. I'm going to say on the abortion thing first, if I could. If it's a stepdad taking the daughter to handle that business, then it depends on the situation. It depends on the relationship. It depends on if they're married or they're just going together, whatever the situation is. But if he's like actual, like, it's a real family situation, then technically the definition of stepdad is just that. He's stepping in as the dad. So technically he is the dad at that time. Okay. Now, as far as the issue about letting the mother know and all that, that's a different thing too. Because it also depends on, people got religious views on, abortion and whatever, So that's something that you got to kind of work with according to what's going on in that household, if y'all follow me. Because you got some people's okay with abortion under circumstances. You got some people just totally against abortion, So it depends on what's going on in that situation. Can I get a follow on that, or am I offbeat, or what?
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
You're right.
You good?
You're right.
Now, as far as the dad goes, I mean, if the daughter comes to, stepdad or whatever, Yeah, she comes to him. Obviously, she's confident enough to come to him, right? Because she could have went to some friend at school, you know. And so that's now as far as somebody said earlier, I would go to the real dad and tell them. Well, first of all, once again, it depends on the relationship between the real dad, you know, and that kid, you know. So if that real dad is in the kid's life, then you know, even then, I wouldn't necessarily do that because obviously it's a reason why she doesn't want to go to the real dad. Okay, so something like that is really, it's not no black and white thing. It depends on the circumstances. It depends on how long they've been together, how they're together, who else is involved. You know, what's the relationship between the kid and the real dad? Those kind of things. Okay, so that's my take on that. Now, as far as if I would do it or not, once again, it depends. It depends on the circumstances. That's fair.
Yeah, that's very.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what, you know, from what I could pick up, because I've been having some, y'all know, some technical difficulties. So I said, forget it. Let me just do the pro setup. You know, I was trying to be casual and just do because I had a long day, David. You know, and which I had planned on doing this anyway, but I had a long day, and I said, well, let me just get on the phone. And for some reason, this platform doesn't work with my phone. I don't know why, because I've done Skype, I've done Zoom, I've done some other stuff, and I never had that issue before. So I don't know, but I'm used to the laptop now, so now we know what's up. I'm ready for you.
Yeah, StreamYard is very, very picky. So, but you have to kind of know how to navigate it through it very well for it to work on the phones.
Okay, well, that's the first time I ever went. Like I said, went through that. I've used 3 or 4 other platforms. I never had that issue before. Never, even professional. You know, I've had business conferences on my phone. Never had that issue. So, you know, I don't know. But I got it now. You know, I'm good as far as the laptop. Everything seems to be okay.
That's good. Thanks for your feedback. All right. So we've been on this segment 1 for a while. It's time to move on to number 2. And that would be...
If I can make a point real quick, though, David, you know, and we can move on. The last time, a couple weeks ago, you know, we was on here, and we was talking about, you know, some things. And then of course, my technical difficulties was another issue. But before that, we was talking about the Will Smith thing. And I have to admit that I thought that was what we was going to be talking about, but you had other things going on. So I didn't want you to think I was being disrespectful or nothing by trying to just stick on the Will Smith thing. That's all I wanted to talk about at the time, you know.
Yeah, I wasn't about to talk about that for a couple hours. So we always have different. We might get stuck on certain subjects for a while, but we always have at least 4 talking points that kind of expand into other talking points.
Okay, well, I understand how your format is now, so you know, I understand. And plus, the people, I also wanted to apologize to everybody that was on there, including if there was somebody here or whatever. I apologize. I was kind of, you know, not only was I, you know, tripping on that, but also had some personal stuff going on too. So I apologize if I seemed to be a little starchy, you know.
No problem, brother. No problem. So we're going to move on to the second segment. Why do you think men have a hard time turning down sex? Ooh. And will that work?
Who told you that lie?
I know some of the reasons why they turn it down.
I'll tackle this. For some, it's their marker of manhood. And when you've been reared in a culture, as a lot of black men have, that the more women you bed, the more of a man you are, it gives a lot of younger men who haven't had proper guidance a warped perception of what constitutes masculinity and manhood.
Well, so go ahead. I had a point.
So if you're raised around that type of environment, to where all you're talking about is, and this is something we covered when we discussed toxic masculinity last year, I do believe. If you're raised around men and males who always talk about that, then it's going to drive your perception of what is. It's like BGS said, you also get that testosterone that kicks in. So if you don't know how to manage that, and you don't know how to say no, and you're not raised to develop self-discipline at an early age, then you're going to become a captive of what you know and what you've been taught. And for a lot of men, they never manage to escape that. And if you can't escape that, then you're always going to be drawn by it. And this is, and we've seen this the world over, going back to antiquity, that men and civilizations have been destroyed by the inability to turn down a woman.
One of the words you mentioned a few minutes ago was if you came up like that. It depends on how somebody's brought up. It depends on the kind of mentors they had, the kind of images they had. So you got to, as you know, there's a lot of young men that don't come up with a lot of positive male images in the households. Especially black folk, and they might have some, but they're not all that positive. But then you have those that come up around a lot of positive type men. So it depends on what kind of environment they came up in. Myself, I came up with kind of a mixture of positive and not so positive. So I kind of, by the time I got in my 20s, I pretty much thought I knew about life, but of course, when you get in your 30s, you realize how much about life you didn't know in your 20s.
And let me ask both of y'all gentlemen this question, okay? What about the men who are biologically hypersexual?
Hypersexual?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to direct that, and I don't think there's wrong with the man pursuing women for sex. The only issue that particular man is going to have to worry about is the potential damage that he leaves in his wake. Now, if you can find a woman and you two are sexually compatible and that's your relationship and that's your relief, then by all means pursue that avenue with the understanding with that individual that this is what your nature of your relationship is going to be. I think far too often a lot of men are out here behaving recklessly, as like BGS says, learn to control your wand. They're out here behaving recklessly and they're misleading a lot of women into thinking that there's more to the relationship than just the physical intimacy. And for those women who happen to get ensnared in that, it creates an era where they are distrustful of men who actually have righteous intentions behind that. It's just like the book that Alan Roger Curry writes, The Beta Male Revolution, and the other one, I'm sorry, I can't remember the other title right now. The sexual Beta Male Revolution, and then there's the geez, it's drawing a blank right now. But those two books, they encapsulate what men should be doing. So if you just want to have sex with a woman, put that out there. Let her know that you the only thing you're interested in is pleasure for a short time. Let her make that decision so she's going in with her eyes wide open.
All right, here's another one question for what you stated. Okay, same scenario. The dude is on hypersexual, right? And he do meet a woman, and he's open with the woman, saying that I do want to have a relationship with you, but however, I am very hypersexual. He get with this woman, and they'll marry this woman, but this woman can't supply his need of his hypersexual activity. Then what?
Well, he's got a decision to make. Two things. He's got a decision to make. One, does he want to continue in that relationship? And if he does, he has to figure out how he can continue in that relationship. Well, that relationship is for his wife to be okay with him seeking extracurricular activities outside of the relationship, provided that what he's supposed to bring is maintained. If she doesn't, then he's going to have to go on his own way and find something else to be compatible so that he is content within himself. So he's not only ruining the marriage and the potential safety of any kids that may have come of that marriage, and also so he's not misleading another woman.
Hmm.
You know, I have a question regarding that. Even it can go either way. A woman with a woman too, that it could be not enough. There's some women that have healthy appetites as well, and a man can't produce as much. Um, but I do have a question. I've heard someone share um, that men get bored easily. You know, with
I
one
think it's
particular
both
woman.
ways.
So I don't know. I haven't heard a woman say that, but I've heard like men say that they get bored easily with women. So when they say they're getting bored, is that sexually bored, or you think it's more just relationally, like they want to just have multiple different type of personalities to
Actually,
keep them on board?
medically known that women.
But but I've heard men say it, so I'm just asking the men, like, what do you guys say to that statement? When a man
I,
gets
I
bored?
Y'all go first, and I'll come later.
Oh, go
personally
ahead. Go
speak,
ahead.
I'm like
personally
the
speaking,
urban therapist. Is that an urban therapist?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
yes.
Can you please answer, please?
Okay. Well, through my experience of talking to different men in my circle, it's a combination of just being bored with the woman, and it can also be sexually bored, or it can be sexually frustrated as well too, where they just like, look, I don't, or it could be more like a quote unquote conquest as well too, but it just depends on that man and their perspective about their woman. But me personally speaking, every woman that I've ever been with, I never got bored with them.
Yeah, I
We
can.
probably wasn't compatible, but I never was like quote unquote bored.
And see, for me answering that, I could talk about when y'all had mentioned about the environment, and I had mentioned it before. Like, if you don't have, like, I grew up in a predominantly female, like, oriented households with my aunts and my grandmother. My grandfather was there, but didn't really have uncles that were present, or even really bigger cousins. So a lot of the stuff I had to rely on were my friends. But I always say this, and they can be listening. And we can have a beer and talk about this. I realized that the shit they used to be saying, they were full of crap. So a lot of times, because I was the quiet one in the crew, so a lot of times they'd be like, "Oh, we doing this, we doing that. Oh, you should get with her," and I'd be like, "I don't like her. She don't look right to me," or whatever the case is. Like, it don't matter. Excuse my language, Mom. I know you listening. And they would be like, "Well, pussy ain't got a face," or whatever the case is. That was the thing they used to. I'm being real. I'm being transparent. So I would still be timid, like in those situations, and I didn't really have a notch under my belts, but the notches they had, I would say that ain't even worth having. That's not even worth having. So I'm good. But they would always pressure me into those experiences. So it just depends. You got to have, if you got somebody solid around you, really telling you this is how it is, this is what's going to go down, this is what you need to look for. But when you don't have that, you kind of led to people your age, led to listen to their feedback, and their feedback is typically crap. Yeah. We going to talk about this, fellas. If y'all listening, we going to talk about it.
I mean, that's why I said granted, we are part of a culture, but within our culture, we have separate cliques. Because I was the benefit that I had with being one of 8 boys is that we were always led by the older males in the family. So for better or worse, for as far as I'm concerned, much more better, much more. I didn't have bad role models. And the things that they may have done that were bad, I was never really exposed to until I actually got to a point where I actually developed some sense and say, okay, you know what? He can do that, but I'm not doing that. That's one of the reasons why I don't smoke weed. out of most of my siblings, I'm probably the only one that hasn't or never has. But then again, I also, being in foster homes, I also developed a different sense of being than they had. It's not wrong or right. It's just the way that we are developed. We all have unique personalities, and I think far too often we are chided from exploring the unique assets that we have as individuals. And when we do that, we kind of conform to what everybody else thinks we should be, as opposed to being what we want to be. And I think that's the dangerous thing that we have as Black people that we have to break free of. So if you see somebody that is doing something that's off the beaten path, encourage them to do that, because you never know where that path is going to take them. And if it takes them away from the toxic things that our culture is developing, then push that individual to pursue that, so they can learn to break free, so they can be an individual, so they can walk to their own drumbeat.
So you mean to tell me that you never smoked weed a day before your life, bro?
I still haven't. I'm 50. I didn't have my first drink of alcohol until I was 24.
Oh my goodness, bro. At least once, at least that's a
I got
blow it out.
I got a crew of fellas who will tell you that I hung out on the block with them when they were talking. They would get high and they would tell you Herb has never smoked.
Oh,
I can say I was like that for a long time, and I was like that more so because I was scared, because both of my grandparents were addicts, so I always felt like I'm a puff some and I'm a like that, and then it's gonna just be, it's gonna be gone. It's gonna take off from there. So it always kept me away, but eventually I tried and I ain't like it anyway. So I can definitely understand not really even caring to do that.
Yeah, because I did it at least once in my lifetime, just once, and once when I did it, I didn't like it at all. I didn't like the whole feeling of it, so never did it since then. But bro, at least I want.
I'll be lying if I say I did.
Never, man.
I was at an amusement park somewhere. I don't know where y'all. I don't know what y'all talking about.
But that's what, and see, I was fortunate in that regard, because at some impactful times in my life, I was away from that type of culture. So from the age of like 8 to 12, I was staying in a foster home out in Arkansas, where that just didn't occur. There was no drinking, there was no drug use. So at the formative periods of my life where I probably would have been exposed to it, I was exposed to a different culture. So I learned about folk music, rock, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Van Halen. Those are the type of habits that I was picking up then. So when I walk around and I'm singing Simon and Garfunkel, people ask me, where the hell did you learn that from? Well, when I was in a foster home. But those are the things that some of us are exposed to and a lot of us aren't. And that's what I mean about the culture. While we all are under the umbrella, we have different cliques that we adhere to. And there's nothing wrong with that. Far too often we're made to feel ashamed of being different, as opposed to encouraged of being different. So like I said, at 50, I've never smoked. No need to.
Hey, salute you getting out that foster care system too, man. Look like you're doing real great, bro. Salute on that. I'm cool though.
I don't believe that marijuana should be associated with our culture. I mean, marijuana is something that people from all cultures have tried.
Yeah.
Not our culture. I mean, I didn't even know what marijuana was until I was 17. And I grew up in South Central. I really did not. Because I thought that marijuana was the same as acid and LSD. So I didn't have none of it.
Oh.
It's funny that you
I was
say
17
that.
when I found out what weed was.
Did you hear the
about
blunt
to
for the
turn
one
this
time?
into weed, popping pills.
Because my dad was really heavy on talking against it and stuff, so I thought it was all the same thing, and I used to hear all these stories about people freaking out and doing weird stuff, and I said, "No, I ain't messing around." But then when I got older and I, seen, different, but so it's not a cultural thing; it's an environmental thing. It's who you're around. See, if you're around people that's what they're into, then you're going to absorb into it, because that's
Yeah, because some
Absolutely.
kids never smoked weed, but popped all the pills you can name.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that's true also. But that
Well,
still
yeah,
goes with the environment too, though.
Right,
that's what I was going
exactly.
to say. It's still
Environment,
environment.
Exactly.
culture, and all that stuff all ties in together.
Well,
Mhm.
actually, culture and environment, they're similar, but they're different. Okay, 'cause I've been in white
Well, I
neighborhoods,
think culture is the
I've
whole
been in
big
Hispanic
piece.
neighborhoods. They're
And they
so
all
there's
was
some
getting high,
differences.
wasn't they?
They all getting high some kind of way, yeah. But as far so to say that, oh, that's just the black culture. No, it's not the black culture. You got Hispanics get high too. Jamaicans, Cubans. I even know some Asians that used to get high. You don't hear much about Asians, but they do it too. So it's not just, but that's just the stigma. Everything.
Are you
Absolutely.
muted, Anetta?
No, I'm not.
Yeah. So as far as that goes, but we went from hypersexual to weed.
It's
No,
smoking
the
the
reason,
Yeah, true, yeah.
but the reason why I mentioned that was because of the culture. Black men have an inordinate fascination with trying to bed women. So if you look at let's expand this out and let's look at dating
Please.
coaches. Let's look at dating coaches. Dating coaches' focus is not on getting men to marry women. Dating coaches' focus is on getting men to be able to bed women. So in that regard, Ed, you're correct. But we far too often have an inordinate fascination with just bedding them and not making them wives. Now, whether they're wife material is a different topic for another time. But if you go and just looking to have sex, then that's what you're going to get.
Well, once again, I think that our environment has a lot to do with it. It's all about how the person was raised, because not everybody, men or women, have that mentality. It depends. Once again,
I've been on that, Ed. I don't really think it has anything to do with how they're raised. I think it has something to do with
You're
what?
going in and out.
Influence.
For me,
Influence.
at
She said
least.
influence.
Can y'all?
It's
You're
barely
cutting in and out.
In and out.
Okay, let me see.
There you go.
Am I good now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I don't really think to do with their upbringing. I think it's influence because
Mhm.
I went to Penn State around white kids. Okay. And far as sexual experience, I grew up in a very staunch religious background where you don't have sex, get married. I ended up getting married early just because I was like, I want to have sex. So I don't think it really has to do with the environment. It was the influence of my friends pressuring me like, you should know how to feel. You should know, you should experience it. You should. So it was.
But your environment is what influences you.
No, my environment was telling me, no, don't do it. My pressure, influence of my friends. So,
But that's still your environment. The environment is what influenced you to think that way.
I believe I look at an environment different. I look at environment as my key component in my immediate. I look at influences, friends, the people that are just momentary. So that's why I don't know. I have a different do it. Talk about.
Well, let's look at it like this. Let's take the environment to just encompass overall where we are. You can exist in an environment and still be an individual. We're all walking examples of that. Just because we exist in an environment that is toxic, don't mean we have to be toxic. That's where the insulation comes from. That's where the wherewithal to be an individual exists, and you kind of take from here, and you develop your sense of self. That way, you keep a bubble from anything that you deem that'll derail you from what it is that you want to do, and that's part of what I can do, or part of what I've done to keep me insulated from a lot of nonsense. There's just certain things I just tune out. I'll look at it and say, you know what, that's not for me. People say, how can you exist like them? Take the marijuana. How can I exist in an environment where everybody else smokes weed, but I didn't. I chose not to, even though I'm in that environment.
That's a good point. I mean, I understand where you're coming on that. It's just like, say for instance, you got a household with 5 kids, okay, and some of the kids come out drug addicts, and some of them come out not drug addicts, okay. It's because, like you said, some people decided to zone out certain ideals, okay. So I understand what you're saying. It's all because everybody is an individual.
So it's how you
formulaic being,
respond to the.
okay? So it depends
to
on
those
what you
influences.
perceive and how you see certain things from your personal perspective, regardless of your environment. But your environment is still influential to some extent. I'm not saying it's
Yes.
going to influence you to the exact same extent. You know, your
Mhm.
brother might be you in the same house with your brother or your sister.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're going to see doing this thing the same as they would. Okay,
Mhm.
you know, if it's good or bad. Okay, you're going to have a different perspective. So yeah, we are all individuals at the end of the day. That's what you call a formulaic being. You know, you are an individual organism. Okay, and you're going to perceive things your own particular way. But environments can still influence how you develop mentally, emotionally, psychologically, etc. That
So
makes
I,
sense?
as far as questions about, I think that as adults that you should be upfront and organic about relationships. So if a person, I think Christina said that, if a person said they want to have sex with you, then you put that person in the category they need to be in. They want to hook up. But I think you need to be honest about motives in people's life. Be honest about what you want and don't string people along. Even though you're being verbal about it, even if you say, I just want to hook up, then you need to display that hookup behavior. Don't try to say, I want to hook up, but you're trying to be the man or trying to be a woman. Stay in the line that you state that you want to be in. Be authentic and organic about what person and give them the option to say, hey, I want to hook up. Hey, I want to have sex. Hey, I'm looking for a relationship. Give me that option. Don't try to strip my
Just like my man was saying earlier about I lost my train of thought. But like my man was saying earlier about you know, men thinking that they just want to get out and just have sex, just want to do what they want to do. It still has a lot to do with the environment, because if you're with a crew and this is their mentality, you know, like guys, even women, same thing. You got that mentality. We're going to get out and do what we're going to do tonight, okay? Rather than focus on trying to get with somebody to marry, okay? You're just thinking about having sex and that's it. So it's about environment. It's about influence of that environment and your upbringing, and all that stuff comes together. So it depends on where you're coming from. That eventually determines where you're going to be going. Okay.
And that's
A lot of people, when they get married, for instance, a lot of people, like you said earlier, Miss, a lot of people, you know, they're raised in environments to where they say there's no sex before marriage. Okay, so they get to a point to where, well, all I want to do is get married then so I can have sex. I know a lot of people like that. You know, they rushed into a marriage because they wanted to have sex. And then they got into the marriage didn't last that long because the sex wasn't what they thought it was going to be. So, or they wanted to have it with somebody else, or whatever the case was. So I do believe that a lot of times getting married just to have sex is not necessarily the best way to do it. Because, you know, I always recommend to young people, you know, the best time to get married is, you know, 27, 28, 30 years old. That way you have time to learn life, experience some relationships, go through some things, go around the block a couple times. Because when you get married at 17, 18, 19 years old, you ain't experienced nothing. You don't know nothing about nothing other than what you've heard or read about. Okay? And then when it's not, that's why you have so many marriages that don't last past 2 or 3 years.
Well, I got to give you a little bit of pushback on that one. There are a lot of arranged marriages that they'll still marry within 30 to 40 years. So how do you explain that one?
I'm gonna tell you exactly how I explain that one. I know a whole lot of Muslims and I know a whole lot of Buddhists and I know a whole lot of other people arranged marriages, and yes, they stay together because they don't believe in divorces. They get together and they make it work.
Yeah. I don't think you can hear what nobody's saying. Can you hear?
I disagree with. Can't make that synopsis on everyone. I got married at 18, and I was married for 28 years. So, I mean, it all depends on. And I have friends that got married around the same time I got married. They're still married. So it just depends on the two people, the individual. They're to stay together and how they want to make.
Well, there's no
I
absolutes
agree
in
with
any of
that.
this.
I agree
There's
with that.
no
Yes, it does
absolutes in any of
depend.
this.
It does depend on the individuals. Yes, I agree with that. But at the same time, what I'm saying, I'm talking about the individuals that got married for the wrong reason to start with. I'm not talking about people that are really in love.
Doesn't have a question like. I mean, my daughter just got married last year. But her and her husband now they've been together.
Anita, you going in and out. You going in and out.
Yeah, see,
I heard what you said though.
Yeah, my point, because I've known a lot of people over the years, and myself, I've been through some things. I ain't gonna go into that right now. But the point is, it depends on what the mindset is when you get married. Because you got some people who get into a marriage not because of love, but because of an agenda. Okay, there's different reasons why people get married, and this is why you have a lot of marriages that don't last, because you wasn't really married when you got into when you said I do, because that's what saying I do means. It means that you are committed to this person, and a lot of times that's not true. A lot of times they're only getting married because of money or prestige or something they get out the deal, okay, or because they want to have a kid or whatever the case, or just want to have sex, whatever it is. They're not getting married because they really love this person. And this has been proven time and time again.
All right, so I know we always get sidetracked, whatever, but we really that's a whole nother subject for another day on the reasons why people get married and why they stay together. We just talk about the
well, I see what you're saying there, David. But as far as
let me finish, man. Let me finish, please. So I did want to bring in Willie and Christine, get their feedback on this subject matter. Point number 2. Then we can move on to point number 3.
So what was
I didn't really got it. Go ahead, Christine.
I said, what was the subject again? Why do some
Exactly.
Why can't some men turn down sex?
well, kind of hard to answer. I can give an opinion, but I'm not a man, so there's that.
Right.
But
So why being quiet?
I think that sometimes that's the thing when men are younger, especially very young, like you and David, y'all both kind of talked about this, about being not saying it was you, but about being among people that when they were young, the whole thing was get the girl, bed as many girls as you could, notches in your belt and all that stuff. And I think most of those men do grow out of that. Not everybody, but I think a lot of them grow out of that, and they start wanting quality over quantity. They start wanting relationships and what have you. So I some of it I just think is immaturity.
I agree with that. I wasn't like that though. I never was the kind of kid that wanted to, just hit. I didn't have my first kid till I was 25. Okay, I was very careful up to that point, because I was always worried. I've seen so many things go down, and I wanted to be in my kid's life. I didn't want to just drop a seed somewhere and never know who the kid was, And I know a lot of girls, all they wanted to do was get pregnant so they can get on the county, and stuff like that. And I didn't want to, get caught up.
They get pregnant so they could do what?
Get a check.
They wanted to get pregnant so they can get a county check.
Get on welfare.
Get on welfare, food stamps,
So
or whatever.
wait.
That's what they wanted to do.
Okay.
So
whatever.
Get them, Shaughnessy. Get them.
No, I'm saying that women have to do it. That's the kind of stuff they
I don't
did.
have the energy.
Hold on, Shaughnessy. So hold on, no. One moment, Shaughnessy. You have to keep in mind his age.
Okay.
Because if you don't, then what he's saying, bingo. Because for
Right.
him, what he's
Because
saying
if
is
you're in a
absolutely
poverty
correct.
area, that might have been the ticket out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's different today, but back 30 years ago,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because the 1960s, in that decade of the 1960s into the 1970s, when welfare became available to black women, there was an explosion of out of wedlock births for black women.
exactly. 1970s especially.
So let me, and this is just from what I know of, people that do have welfare and government assistance. They're not doing good. So it's not like I could understand somebody saying, getting a baby or having a baby by a basketball player so they can have that check, because they paying upwards of $10,000 a month just for child support. But welfare
That's
ain't what
these
it's
days.
saying.
Well,
Like you can't
yeah,
do
That's
exactly.
nothing.
these days.
It was
That's
these
not
things. Back
that.
in the
Yeah,
70s,
like
it
you
was a
said,
big
if you
deal.
look at back in the day when in the 60s and 70s and 80s, there wasn't you didn't have basketball players making that kind of money. It
Right.
wasn't about basketball
No,
players.
no,
It was
I
about
get that. But what
trying
I'm
to.
saying is, from my understanding of welfare, and this is today because I can only speak of current times and what I know. Even if you are getting a government check, it's not paying your way out of nowhere. You're still barely doing anything.
Back
Well,
It's
then,
it's
that
it's it's, it's
was
the
the
it's
He
the
was
freedom
thinking about his
aspect that it allows
you
them
to
to
get out
have.
your own
yes,
apartment and get your own. It paid for your benefits, so you
Yeah.
get
Right.
apartments, you can get
Right.
food
Right. So
stamps, you got
he's speaking
benefits,
on
so you
his
can get out
era.
and get your own places. So it's a totally different era. That these days now you have
yeah, back
people
in the
like you said, they
70s
get
and early
pregnant,
80s. Yeah.
but they getting pregnant with a football star or basketball or rapper. They're
Yes, yeah.
looking. That's the come up, as you say, the come up. That's what the come
Right.
up was back then. Was getting on public assistance and getting your own place, getting your own apartment, getting your own.
Exactly.
It was all about getting out and getting on your own.
So
Back
basically,
then,
a baby meant having their own place.
Yes, it
right?
was freedom.
Yeah.
That
It
was
was
the whole
it was
goal.
unadulterated freedom. I don't have to listen to my mother. I don't have to listen to my father. I can have over who I want to. I can
Right.
do what I want to when I want to, and nobody can tell me anything.
Yeah,
Back
but
then,
at the
yeah.
same
That's where
time,
the
they
whole
still,
that's where the whole
And
freedom and
it was
independent
basically,
nonsense started from.
but at
and
the
if you
same
look
time,
at
they
both
still need these
systems,
people to watch the
even
kids.
back then, even if you look at the systems now and you look at the systems back then, the father was not allowed to be in the household in order for them to get benefits. And even now today, the father
Same thing.
is not really a part of the household in most of those scenarios either. He's paying. That's his benefit to the child is the mother's getting money from him, but she's not trying to bring him into the household and make a family. So it's basically the same thing. It's just a different scenario.
Hey,
But it's all
the
in both situations. They both alienate the father from the household.
hey the
Yeah.
the
That's
rule
another
the
topic.
the rules it changed just slightly now. If you're an immigrant, the father's allowed to the household, and they still could get public assistance.
If you're not an immigrant, the father is allowed in the household. It just both your income has to be under the threshold. So they do have
Yeah, exactly.
families operating together as husband and wife that are on assistance. Both parents have medical assistance. Both parents are eligible for food stamps in all together.
Mhm.
So the men are allowed in the household nowadays too.
But yeah, because back in the
They were
70s,
allowed back
early
then too,
80s.
but the benefits are affected by the man being in the household.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Because
He
So
had
let's
that
don't
kind of
forget
cut
that's
the
the reason why men didn't get married to the woman so she can keep those
Right.
benefits.
Correct.
Right.
He could keep
Yep.
those benefits.
Absolutely.
that cut down on marriages, of course, for that
I
very
mean,
reason.
he could have gotten the household, but then if he got in the household, then you got your benefits cut. So then
Yeah.
that if you, I forgot the name of the show. What was the God? What was the name of that movie? It was a movie. It was a black family and the lady Claudine. Is it Claudine?
Yes.
Yeah, the movie
Talking about
Claudine, and that was a perfect example of how the welfare system
And that's
worked,
how it was
where
back
they
in
had
the
to
70s.
hide
in the early
they had
Somehow
to
this
hide the
always come up.
poster, and they had to hide. They couldn't look like they had anything new or decent when the welfare lady
And that-
came over,
and that
and
was
the
back
man
when
had
they
to
used to come
hide in the
visit the
closet
house. They don't visit
because
the house
she
now.
couldn't have
Gotcha.
a sign of a man being in the household, or her benefits
Yeah.
would get cut.
That's how it was back
Mhm.
then.
Listen, we about to move to because y'all didn't definitely reared off of this.
They did it again.
Welfare, to all of that shit. So number 3, is it a turnoff for someone to tell you they got options? Like, I'm not about to deal with your crap. You know who I am. I got options.
Can I talk
Is it a
first?
turnoff?
We all got
Go
out.
ahead, Anetta.
I got
Go ahead.
options.
Why you say it like that, Dave?
I love to hear
I
this
just
too.
said, go ahead.
from the-
Go ahead.
from the
I
women.
just said, go ahead.
Okay, so
I got options. Oh my goodness.
I literally I want to say about 4 months ago, this guy stopped talking to me because he kept making statements like, yeah, you know, I talk to a lot of women, but you different, this and this and that. And he kept saying it. So I told him, I said, you are aware that you're not the only one that have options. You're not the only one that have people pulling at your tail either. And I kept saying it to him, and I had to let him go one day. I was like, you know what? I said, my table is full just like your table is full. And do you know he stopped talking to me because he said he did not like the fact that I told him that it was other men that was interested.
So he couldn't handle what he was dishing out.
But
Yeah.
he dished it out, but he couldn't take it in. He couldn't take when I put it back in his face.
To me, it's just a weird statement to make, because clearly I'm not ugly, and clearly you are tripping if you think you are the only person that is interested. So that's not even that's something that I would expect you to already know. That would go without saying that you're not the only one trying to be
And
the
I don't want
only
nothing
one.
nobody else don't want.
Right. So I don't know what I don't know. I think I would be pretty upset, and it would be upset. It's a turn off. It's definitely a turn off. I got options. Bye. Go ahead. Because your options ain't
You need
here
to
for
check
what
them
you're
options
hitting for.
out, player.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at the options.
The-
Give options
now
your
let's
time. Because
now
I don't need it.
I'm gonna be transparent, okay? The only way I would say that I have options is for that woman to get besides herself, thinking that she's my only option. You get what I'm saying? Well, where she
But why
just
would you
totally
have to
being
do that if you're giving?
where she being like totally disrespectful to me, thinking that I'm her only option and I could put up with her crowd. No,
Yeah.
I don't have to put up with your crowd.
But
In
for
that
me,
sense,
that
then,
wouldn't be
yeah,
a
I say I
conversation.
got
That'd be a
options.
walk away.
I do realize,
Because it
y'all
sounds
do
like
realize
a
some
threat
people don't
more
have
than
options.
just
Y'all do realize that, right? There's some people
What?
who don't have options, have limited
Oh
options.
no! Who? Like, what do you mean? There's somebody for everybody, and there's multiple people.
We all got
What would
options.
me? What would be the
Nah,
reason?
you
Hold
have
on.
options.
What
Nah.
What
what
would be the
David is
reason
saying?
that you don't
What
have
David
options?
what David
Herb
is
probably
saying
knows
is
because
this.
he'd heard me say this before. Go
What
ahead.
David is saying is this. A man that's making $25,000 a year has how many options to women?
Man, this girl
Well,
is
that's
going
not
to
true.
get coochie for
Hold
men
on.
that don't have options.
A man making $25,000 a year. Well, I'm sorry, Netta, go ahead.
He can make 25. How many broke men you know that's good in bed and got multiple
That
options?
don't work. That got these girls going crazy and
Hello?
don't
They
work.
got them
Dick them down, and that's all. Everybody has options. Even
Yeah,
even
But
John
it's
John
all
ain't
it's all
corner.
about
Hold on.
It's all about
There's
the
a difference
confidence
between
level, too.
there's a difference between having sexual options and having options for a relationship. If he's just
I don't understand how many
no, hold on. No, because a lot of people
Not just sex.
They be
Oh,
out here
no, but
fighting these. Listen, they be out here fighting these little $15 an hour security guards, and
So
out
that
here,
means
like,
their options
doing-
is limited. That means
They
their
No,
options
I
is
can't
limited.
even say that.
Wait a minute,
In
is
my field of
$15
work,
is minimum wage now?
in my
Nice.
listen, in my field of work, you have some very smart women that have lucrative careers, that have everything of their own, and that are messing with men. And when I mean messing with, they are taking care of these men, housing
Their
and clothing
options
these men.
limited.
And these men
Yep.
don't go nowhere but stay in a house,
Yep.
your house all day, and play the PlayStation that you brought
Because
them.
their options are
Everybody
limited.
has options.
and driving your car, dropping you
That's
off
not,
at
that's not the options I'm talking about. That's not the options I'm talking about. I'm talking about a come up. Like, you listen, I'm gonna be
Well, that's
all
the
right.
come up for him.
That's
Right.
the come up for them.
Yeah, for
It might
him,
not be
but for the woman,
financially-
that's not a good option. For him to be
Right.
sitting around and you giving him
Evidently,
money
she
or whatever the
thinks so. She
case
willing to
is.
fight for it and pay for it.
But I mean,
The
that
thing
woman
is, he may
also
be giving
does
her
have
something
options.
she
That
may
guy
need.
is what she settled for.
Right. And he might be giving her something unique because, you know, each one of us have something we desire. You might have somebody that say, I want to date somebody who knows how to treat me, who's a gentleman. Somebody else might say, I want to date somebody who makes as much money as me, if not more. I want to have somebody who can travel. And if you end up connecting to somebody who has two out of
So y'all trying to dumb this shit down, whatever. That's what y'all trying
No,
to do.
You know what it is, David? They need to be introduced to Melvin.
Huh?
They need to be introduced to Melvin. That's the problem. They haven't met Melvin.
Mm-mm.
I don't think it's a whole dumb down.
You talking about Melvin from Baby Boy?
No, urban therapist. There's a character that David created named Melvin, and all Melvin do is couch surf. He ain't got the only options he has is the women who are willing to take him in and put up with his nonsense until they get fed up and then they put him out.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I don't think those are good options.
So if we're gonna go by that aspect, yes, everybody has options, but options for what? Because if you eat
David,
out of
are
the
you
trash
just
can, then the
talking-
next trash can is an option.
David, are you just talking about options on a come up? Then you have to
I'm
indicate
talking
that.
about
Or
somebody.
good
I'm talking about
options.
some. Of course. A negative option is nothing you're gonna brag about. I'm talking about something like, listen, if me and you not together, I'm gonna be all right because I got this. I got this person. You maybe have a good job or doing this and like, okay, the package seems well, but if me and you stop talking today, I got several people in line that's just as equal or even better. Those
I
are
don't see
good
nothing
options.
wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with it.
And that's what I'm talking about.
That would be a turn off for me, and I definitely would point you in the direction of your options, because why are you here? And at the end of
he
the day,
wouldn't
you
be
got
there if
all
he
the
couldn't be
options
there.
you want. Nobody's offering the experience that I offer.
I
You
mean,
know,
I
the
wouldn't
thing-
say it like the man said in the red. I wouldn't say it to anybody unless, like that guy said it to me, I gave it back to him. I'm gonna give you the same energy you give me, okay? But that's not an open conversation.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
I
well,
don't-
you know, I got other options. I'm not. That's
I don't-
rude for one, and it's disrespectful and it's demeaning. But my thing is, I'm never gonna make somebody feel like you're just the one. I'm never gonna.
But you know what? When I think about this, typically when somebody doesn't have no options, they get mistreated. You're like, he ain't got nowhere to go, or whatever the case is. His ass don't even got he don't got no vehicle or whatever. So you're gonna get mistreated. And we made this reference kind of I don't know, didn't we bring this up at the
A
spot?
while ago.
No, I thought we had mentioned this the other night.
Oh yeah, we
for
did.
the,
Wednesday.
So, but when you have different options, you have confidence. So
More
someone's
latitude.
not gonna mistreat you. And the same thing in the job situation as well. If your boss know his ass, he been here for years, he ain't got nothing going. He ain't got nothing going on. So we're gonna talk to him this way. We're gonna speak to him this way. But when they know, like, yo, he can leave here tomorrow and get a job. The treatment changes, I think. And I think that's
So
the
I
same
have a-
thing
No, I
with
do.
relationships.
I have a question for the men. I always want to ask this question, and it kind of coincides with the option. Would you guys, all the guys on the panel, would you date a woman that made less money let's say, would you date a woman that worked at Walmart or worked at a pharmacy as a cashier? At the age you are now and established you are now, would you date a woman like that?
I would, provided she can care for her own, sure. But I think I don't want to get too lengthy on this. I think a lot of people look at money as the sum total of what an individual is, and that's the unfortunate part of the society that we live in. If an individual is making X amount of dollars and they're financially solvent, take care of their bills, they're not delinquent, and they can live the lifestyle that they're living, I don't have a problem, because that's what I'm looking for in a mate. Are we compatible enough that we can come together and we can build? Because if she owns her place and I own her place, and we looking to build together, and this is one of the answers that I gave when we asked when the question is asked about whether a man can lead or not, you're not looking for that man to lead. You're looking for his plan. And if his plan is one that we can both, that she can get on, then why not? Money isn't everything. Money is the component that allows people to live the lifestyle that they want to live. So there are people that make $75,000 who are broke because they're financially irresponsible. And there are people who are making $40,000 who are doing okay.
You know, if I could jump in real quick, that's the thing where with dating, it's just too many games. I think this is being played, and everybody's trying to figure it out. You know, figure out if this person's the one or not. And I remember a situation where there was someone that was dating someone else, and I would say to the woman, I would say, listen, you need to let him know you are dealing with other people, because I believe if he knew that, he would act better. You know, and come to find out, when he finally found out, he did. He totally changed. It felt like he was about to lose the one that he thought was just chasing him and not entertaining anyone else.
Yeah, something about that. I shouldn't have to make you, or you shouldn't have to feel like
You shouldn't
there's
have
other
to.
options for you to behave. If you're gonna do right by me, you're gonna do right by me. If
But
there's
that's the
one man
game.
chasing me, or if there's 20 men chasing me,
Right.
So I just don't see the point in ever mentioning, you know, I got options. You see me, you know.
No, you have to. Well, I'm just saying, like, no, you shouldn't have to.
I don't think you
But
should
that's
have to
why
say it.
I know you shouldn't have
Yeah.
to say it. But the sad thing is, because so many games are being played, sometimes you have to let it be known. But I also believe that if you're interested in someone, why don't you just let them know that? I feel like everybody puts up these walls and barriers instead of just being, if you feeling somebody, just feel them and enjoy it and see where it can go. But I find that most men and women want to keep putting up this wall as if, well, I don't know, I'm just still trying to figure it out. And we are, but if you feeling the person, let them know you feeling them. Instead of the games.
A lot of times, Akia, people can't do that because they haven't gotten over or healed from their past relationships. So it's a lot of triggers, it's a lot of barriers and different things like that. And it's such a huge trust factor for them. And they don't put those cards down. So unfortunately, it seems as if it's a game, but it's really safeguarding because they're not comfortable enough or vulnerable enough to pull that down. I know me, I have a bunch of guards up, and I know I have a bunch of guards up. I will self-sabotage before. I mean, I've had people say, I want to get in a committed relationship, and I run like Forrest Gump. So I know.
So why are people dating then, if that's the case?
Why I'm dating?
No, not saying you specifically, but why are people dating when that's the case? Like, I'm still hurting, but I guess you're lonely and you want to get yourself out there again. But
sometimes
I don't think it's
it
so
happens
much
by
as
mistake,
loneliness or just to get yourself out there. I think that everyone desires companionship, and they desire it on a different level. It may not be a desired companionship for a committed relationship. It just may be able to fulfill a temporary void of somebody engaging or spending time with you. I don't think it's so much. I think that everyone
a friend,
has
a friend zone, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean, I love
it. Maybe your initial,
you know where I'm going with it, and that
your initial purpose may not have been to be in a relationship. Maybe it's something that had blossomed, that has blossomed, and you didn't mean for it to get there purposely, but now you're here, and now you have these issues that you needed to share.
Because I feel like we lose concept of just making sure that something is organic and it flows. We always trying to force the peg, and sometimes you just have to organically be able to communicate in a healthy way, be transparent with each other, be vulnerable, and just date, collect that.
Agree,
and just
girl, Summer activated.
Instead of forcing it.
So many times people are just like, oh, well, we date and what's up? I had a friend of mine had to tell me, don't put everything on a time frame. At first I was like, what do you mean? Because life is short. I don't have breast cancer. And then I thought about it when he said it, like, yeah, you got to be organic, because when you're forcing something, you're setting your representative in that forced situation. so that person don't get the opportunity to learn the real value of you. So that's why I say I think we should take our time, and I believe that people should open date, and then you'll see. It's like going to the department store. You're looking for something particular, you're going to see 5 different things in that facet before you purchase what you're looking for. So give yourself the opportunity to understand the merchandise, see if it's going to be a good lay on you, make sure the merchandise is quality, and make sure it's affordable price.
You know, let
I
me
got
ask
the
this question real quick. I apologize, real quick. Vicky said something that's so true, and I've heard people say this about me, that I think too much. How can you not think too much?
I think she's trying to say
Let your hair
overthink.
down and relax.
I think what she's saying is you overthink, and me and you do the same thing, Lakia. I overthink, and if a man is talking to me and I'm asking him a question and he only giving me 50% of the answer,
right,
I'm already gonna process the other 50%
right
on my own. So which my other 50% is gonna be my own assumption because you haven't given me a full answer. So that's the overthinking process. And it's a default for us, but it's a disadvantage for him because now I'm assuming something that he may not even be thinking. Because men are so simple. Men are simplicity is their life. And I think sometimes
7,000 words,
but
20,000.
then they're not simple, because when you think, well, I know I could be finicky as well too, but the thing is, you're right. You're so 100% right about that, because then you feel like when you're starting to ask a lot of questions, you're trying to figure out what was actually being said. So you have you be clear and have a good understanding of what's being said instead of making assumptions. But if you're, like you said, if you're only giving me pieces, how can I can't read your mind.
Right. And then it's worse.
So that keep you coming back for more.
Don't match. If what you're saying don't match with your movement, now I'm really like, okay, how am I assuming this? I think the greatest thing about dating, and I had to learn it after being married so long, is being able to be comfortable with myself. For 3 years, I took myself out to dinner. I had candlelight dinners with myself. I took myself out of town. I enjoyed me. I spent whatever I wanted to spend on me. So what happens is when a man come in my life, you already see I'm established. You already see I can do this. I can do this on my own. Not to say that I want to be on my own, but I'm letting you know what my standards are. And if I create those standards for myself, then Lord and behold, you have to come and make sure if you can match them or you can go above them. I'm not asking you to come in here and have, and go exceed me. If you do, you do. But that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is companionship with equal attitude. That's it.
Fellas, any fellas want to chime into that?
Yeah, I want to chime in. I want to go back and revisit the statement that she said earlier, talking about how can a person accidentally be in a relationship? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I was saying, not accidentally be in a relationship, but accidentally build a bond where so you are single and you're not necessarily looking for something, but you do happen to meet somebody and maybe you guys are friends and that friendship turns into something else, and you do still have those hurts and those traumas and those pains from a past relationship. You didn't necessarily mean to be here, but at the same time, this may be a person that you grew attracted to or fell in love with, so to speak.
But that's more about choice, right?
I mean,
instead of an accident, like it does happen that way, but there are signs that it happened. The flirting and everything like that, and you can easily just say, "Hey, look, I'm in a space right now, and I'm not trying to date or anything like that. We're just gonna be friends, and nothing more, nothing less." But it's by choice if you decide to pursue it further, correct?
Right. But what I was getting at is that initial attraction before you even get there.
Okay, gotcha.
And I think it's that desire to want to keep spending time with each other. Like that was not your purpose, but you like, man, I really have a good time with this person. I want to see them again. Then
Something
it just
it
flows, whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
It just flows. Yeah. Willie,
100
what's good?
questions. 100 questions. I have no problem because I'm assuming that she has options. My thing is to eliminate. So if she has options, she don't need to tell me. All she has to do is execute them.
Yep. It's by your actions. That's what tells it all.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Is he talking to us?
I don't know.
He may have muted himself.
Because he is. He on mute.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, I think he muted himself.
Hey, he muted because I didn't mute
Something
him.
going on. Can't hear nothing.
Don't tell me you was having the whole conversation and we didn't even hear you.
That
It's
happened
actually
last
been
time
going
for
on
like
a
30
while.
minutes.
Right.
And you laughing. That's crazy.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Yeah, well,
I ain't
I'm
lying. I'm
laughing,
laughing
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is that I do that sometimes. I forget that it's a button on my mic, and sometimes the button will automatically go on mute.
But when you're talking, it tells you you're on mute. If you're muted and you're talking, well, I know
Yeah,
at least
but you
when I
have to
do
be
mute,
paying
it'll
attention to
tell
the
me
screen
that I'm on
too.
mute.
Yeah, it
If you're not paying
happens
attention, you won't
sometimes.
see it.
Yeah.
Still don't hear you. He might be having technical difficulties.
Well, we gotta move on
Y'all know
because
he
you have a
delayed
lot to
anyway.
say. Willie, you got anything you want to add to this? Options,
No, I'm
choices?
just listening.
Hey, this is
Hey,
like the first.
We all have options. We all have choices, and you have to go with what's best for you. So I just kind of listening to what everybody has to say, because there's no right or wrong answer in what anybody. It's your opinion. It's your feeling. It's what you go for. What you allow a person to do to you. Allow a person to treat you a certain way. Those are all options. Those are all, a part of what you decide you want to do. Some people will put up with certain things, to be in a relationship. Some people won't put up with certain things to be in a relationship. They'd rather be by themselves. So, it's all open. It's all about that person's opinion and what, how they feel about themselves and how much respect they're going to allow or disrespect they're going to allow from that person that they're with.
Do y'all believe that sometimes people better days are behind them? Like, and they realize like my options are getting limited, that I'm not the person I used to be. I don't have that many options. And it doesn't necessarily have to do anything with age. Somebody in their 30s
I don't think
could feel like that.
I don't think
that
it's so much
typically
your
happens
gut.
with my age group as far as options are concerned with men without children. I think that tends to happen a lot. I hear females my age talk about a lot. They feel like their options as we get older, especially at this age of 30, most men already have children. So they're feeling like they're not going to be able to meet a man or a partner that is childless.
That could be true for a multitude of reasons. I think the number one thing is where they are. If you're looking at upwardly mobile men, I don't think most of the men are going to have children, and if they do, most of them are probably married. So,
right, so the options are limited.
It depends on what they're looking for. If they're looking for marriage, yes. But if they're just looking to have sex and they find a man that's willing to have a wife who has an agreement that he can seek outside pleasure, then her options are only as boundless as she's willing to make them.
Right.
And this is what,
I mean, there's easy options for sex. That's easy.
yeah.
I'm just going for that.
But that's typically, they say it's easier for women to get sex, but men who may be feeling like their options is limited, it's not like, unless they pay for it or whatever the case is, that may not be the case with them.
Right.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
There you go.
Hey.
All right. I'm learning about these newfangled gadgets. I'm still tripping on the thing about men are simple.
Here we go. We got action.
Men what?
Men are
Men
simple.
what?
Okay, Mr. Ed, I wasn't. No, I said men like simplicity.
No, you said men are simple. That's what you said.
But I
Those
was
are your
saying,
words.
listen, I understand what you're saying, but my statement was stating that men like simplicity. They like simple things. They don't have to do all the round the block, skip and jump back. They don't do all that. And I'm only stating that on the basis of dealing with my brothers, my son, and my ex-husband. They like simplicity. They don't like all the extra stuff. They don't like 1,000,007 words. You can give them 3 words and they're good.
I will say this. I have an axiom that I developed years ago, and I say it and I'll stick to it. I am a simple man with complex thoughts and practical application of those thoughts. Like Annetta said, I want things real simple. Now, when it comes to thinking about certain things, concepts, that's where I get into minutia. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to take what I thought about and apply it so it's simple.
All right. Any?
I'm just kidding.
No, go ahead and elaborate, Mr. Ed. You're a little older. You're a little older than me, so if you have, a little more to add,
it's not so much. It's not so much of the simple thing. I think it's more that women are just so complicated. Okay, and so we're kind of like we're not here. We're like here, And we're not here. You can't reach someone on the screen. But anyway, but the point is, I think that women are just more complicated than men tend to be, and men are more, like you said, simpler as far as what we accept as far as what's going on. So we, like you said, we only need a few words where you need a whole book, And so, that's the big thing. Like, for instance, I've heard so many times where women will say, well, you should understand and you should know and da 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 da. And men are like, why don't you just tell me what you want? So y'all want us to figure stuff out. That's not what we do. We want you to tell us what you want. Now, there are some of us that try to figure it out. But for the most part, we want you to tell us. It makes it easier. Okay.
I don't agree with that, because I'll say things and then, like, even some of the guys in the chat be like, "Oh, you're trying to take on masculine traits, right? Trying to tell us, all that nonsense." No, I am a person that try to say, "This is what I like and this is what I don't like," and then if someone follows suit, great. If they don't, then I have to rethink the situation.
So my take, and I agree with you on that, Lakia. I think my take on that is, it's quick. People are quick to say, "Oh, tell us what you want." Da 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 da. But it's hard if I'm telling you what I want and you're not listening. I can be saying it so I'm blue in the face. You hear me, but you're not comprehending.
Or you're not taking it seriously.
Exactly.
I've had that. Because
you already dismissed it.
Yeah. Well, I don't argue, so I'll state what I don't like. And
you said what you said.
I'll state it again. And they're still ignoring it because I'm not hooping and hollering. I'm not having a fit. Right. But in my mind, I'm going, okay, 1.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly 2, what I'm saying.
Okay.
Exactly. I'm only going it's in a minute. Do it one more time. It's over.
That's right. Then it's like, I thought we were happy. No, I told you what was bothering me, and you just didn't hear me. So
didn't care.
So y'all sound cutthroat.
Then I start having an exit plan, and the exit plan, you unaware that I'm exiting.
Back to the other options thing. Once again, if you have other options, that means they're not your main option, because that's the reason you have other options.
But
you wouldn't have other options if this person was the option.
Dating. You're dating.
The option is me.
Options when you're dating. It's different when you're in an exclusive relationship. But when you're dating, you have options. That's what dating is about. Dating is about collecting data, and you may have opportunities to meet with other people. That's dating. Options should be there with dating. but options should not be there when you're in an exclusive relationship, when you engage, when you marry. My key thing I say all the time, marriage is sacred. But if you're not married, you are open to be with whoever you want to be with.
That's your perspective, though.
It's my perspective.
That's
Yes.
your perspective.
And I stated that.
Like-
That's my perspective.
A lot of people don't think that way. See, just because you're not legally married does not mean you're not in a committed relationship. Okay. Not saying it's okay to have, to live in sin. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. I'm just saying that sometimes it's better to start dating, then get in a relationship, then decide to get married. Because too many people have went straight from dating straight into marriage. They never had a relationship.
Right.
That's why their marriage didn't last.
Right.
And that's
So,
probably because they had a timeline that certain things have to be done by this time, and some guy that's fall victim to that and be like, okay, I'm gonna lose her if I don't do it by this time,
Right.
knowing that I'm not ready, but I don't want to lose her because I know she's a good catch.
Mhm.
But then that
But
means
those
we
are
probably weren't a good
unnecessary
fit
friends.
anyway. Because I'm not getting ready to be anybody's forever girlfriend. That's just out the window.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
while
like
I
I said,
don't have a defined timeline, like, okay, we're at the 6-month period, you should be proposing to me. Okay, we're 2 years in, we should be married. That's not how I am. But at the same time, you're not just getting ready I'm just not getting ready to be your forever girlfriend.
Or just a forever friend, and you want to have phone sex or whatever.
Or any of the above.
You
I
know,
agree.
anything. You know, you want to do that too, but have sex, and like, and you're not even
Y'all-
trying to commit to nothing, or even say, hey, we're exclusive or anything.
Y'all
of
do.
I
course,
have a
You've been
question.
dating for 15 years, and then that's something different.
Forever.
I mean, when you're trying to rush somebody into the nuptials, that's when you have problems. Okay,
I
either
would
you
never
run the
rush
person off,
anybody,
or
but
the marriage
but
won't
I
be
am
successful.
watching the clock, and I'm not. You'll never hear me be like, well, what are we doing? What are we getting married? What's going on? I'm not gonna do that. I'll just be like, you know what? This is not going. Not to him in my mind. I'm like, this isn't really not going anywhere.
Right.
What am I doing?
If it ain't going nowhere, what's the point?
Y'all,
Why am I here?
Discussions with women that told me flat out, they said, well, the reason I date is so I can get married. And that's not the reason you date. The reason you date is to learn the person that you're involved, that you choose to be in a relationship with.
Well,
Then
Now
once
with
you get
that,
to
I
the
agree with you, because you
then
do
you
hear that
decide
term
about
all the
marriage.
time, dating with a purpose.
right.
You know,
Yeah,
you do hear that
see,
all the time.
that's the whole thing. When you just date just to get somebody to marry, then you're rolling dice.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you.
You're rolling dice on that, So that's why you date people that you would like to be in a relationship with,
Right.
to learn who they are and all that kind of. You got to learn their backgrounds. You got to learn who's what in their in their life. What's going on with them.
Collective data.
Once you got that, then you get into the relationship, okay, and then you see how that way you're going with that. Then before you get married, you got to have them conversations. You got to have them particular talks. How do you feel about having kids? How do you feel about having a house? How do you
How
feel
many
about
abortions you
having
had?
one car? This. How do you have a joint account or a separate account? How do you feel about this? How you feel about that? You have those conversations. Don't wait until you get married and then you start talking, and then you find out, well, we got a divorce because she didn't want to do this or he didn't want to do that. See what I'm saying?
And the key thing is about the dating is you have to know where you at in the dating. Are you interested in the person or are you intrigued?
Well, you'll know if you're
Because
interested.
no, I'm just stating, if
Are
you're
you
intrigued
intrigued?
with a person,
Oh,
then
intrigued.
you're gonna aim
You're
every day to find out more about them. If you're just interested in a person, it just may be a temporary fix. I just want to know if he can lay it good. I just want to know, you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
if you're basing that on a relationship, that's shallow.
No, I'm just saying that's how people think. That's how
You'd be
people
surprised, man. Yes, he's
We're not
correct
gonna
there.
sit here and
That's
be
shallow.
naive
That's what you
and
think.
that's not how people move. That's how people move.
Right.
You may not move that way. I may
Because-
not move that way.
Because okay, like right now at your
People
age,
move.
say for instance, okay, how do you think what if things change in 30 years. Okay, so that's the only thing you got going on is how good the person is in bed. Suppose things change when they get older.
It
Maybe
is
they're
gonna
not the same.
change. He gonna have some prostate issues, and you just ain't gonna have no sensation. That's gonna happen.
What the?
You know, this is what I think.
That
This
sounds
is
kind of
what I think. I think that if two people are engaged sexually and you're cooking him dinner or he's cooking you dinner and you guys are hanging out and taking trips together, you're in a relationship. Period.
Yeah, I was going to point out that y'all do realize.
What you say? Repeat that.
I said if you and a person is having sex, y'all hanging out at each other's house, sleeping over, cooking each other dinner, hanging out, doing activities, and going on vacations together, you're in a relationship.
Pretty much.
Now y'all do realize this whole thing about boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, and wife. Y'all do realize that all that is just words, correct? Y'all do realize that, right? That doesn't actually determine that you're in a relationship. It's just a title. Y'all do realize that, right?
We always talk about titles.
It's just a title. Because see, the true reason why women want to be married is because they want to be secure. They want to be stable legally.
Right.
That's the whole point of it.
And spiritually.
Well, especially too, but the modern day woman, they want to be tethered to that man legally. That's the whole point of it. Because if
they want something
Okay,
tangible.
you just said, wait a minute. Can I? Did you just say the modern day woman?
Yes, he did.
Modern day.
Okay, because I
can
want to
tell.
know, when was there a time when women didn't want to feel secure when they got married?
Yeah, I'm
Exactly, period.
confused.
In life.
That I don't know. I don't think there was a time when women married without the idea
I think my
that they
grandmother
wanted to feel secure.
Yeah,
That's
they want to. That's what I'm saying.
modern
Every woman
that's not a
and modern day
modern
woman
woman
want to feel
thing.
but listen to what I said. They want to feel secure legally.
Woman, high value.
That's still the same thing. Women
But yeah,
married
they want to feel secure legally.
feel secure. You're not gonna feel secure with a man that you're just living with. You're not gonna have that same sense of
you're not.
security.
No.
If he goes into, I don't know, a diabetic coma or whatever, you don't have any say
You
so
have no say.
So that-
Children got
about
all
his
the say
care.
so. You have no say.
I'm not just
Exactly, because that
don't know your name.
I know your mind immediately went to assets, but you have no say so about his
Over
care.
nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the reason why women want to be tethered to that man legally, so they could have that final say, so they could have access to his care. And if
They
when it
want
hits
you
to the
to
fan, they can
die.
cash out and get paid out to pay for his
Y'all,
funeral
these
arrangements,
men, like,
everything,
This
and
idea that
receive benefits
I
off of
mean,
it.
okay, if you see me, I'll tell all of y'all right now, if you see me marry some 80, 90-year-old man, I am in it for the money. You can absolutely 100%
absolutely.
I am in it for the money, and I'm
It is what it
I'm
is.
betting on him dying soon, okay?
But most of the men that talk about assets and women obtaining their assets and things of that nature, they don't have nothing to really want to obtain.
How do you
That's
know
the-
that,
Men,
Shaughnessy?
That's
especially
the point that I'm making, though.
in this group, especially in this group.
Look,
They
They
all
are
that's
talking
the- that's
about,
the-
oh, they want half, they want this, they want that, they want the third thing. You're making
that's the point.
50K a year, so you don't have nothing for me.
That's the point that I'm making, though. If that be the case, then why do you want to be married legally? Just be married without the whole title
For
of
me,
it.
it's spiritually. It's for
But
me.
I'm not married to
Yes,
spiritually, be done with it.
Okay, so red shirt. So this is my thing, because I don't know your name and I apologize.
Urban
Oh, you
therapist.
call me Irby.
Urban. Okay, so let me
Is it
say
red?
this.
I thought it was
I
orange.
have a few friends that do not want to get married, and they bought a house with their guy. They are the healthcare proxies. They got wills together. They got everything. So most modern women now that you talk about, like, I hate that modern woman stuff. They don't really seek the marriage thing. They just want to make sure that their assets that
Are
they have
covered.
joined together
Yeah.
are secure, that your kids ain't coming in, your grown kids ain't coming in once you land in that casket
Mm.
and they at the funeral and they back there in the back setting up a plan of exit. So that's the whole thing right now. You cannot be married and still have all that stuff that people have with marriage. I think the thing with married people that want to be married, they like the sanctity of marriage.
Mhm.
It's a difference. You have those who want the sanctity of marriage, and then
Right.
you have those who just want the benefit of marriage, but know how to get those benefits legally. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
it's
I
like the
understand what you're saying,
process.
and I agree with that too. And that goes back to what you're saying too. To does be tethered together spiritually, if that be the case. But unfortunately, a lot of women, and I know she'll like me saying this, but I'm saying it again. A lot of women in modern day women, the reason why they get married because they want to be secure legally. Period. Because if that be
Yeah.
the case, they wouldn't try to push the whole point of trying to be married legally. They'll just do it without it, or they'll be in what is known as a common law relationship.
Yeah. Just a minor correction. That's not red he's wearing. That's called burnt orange. Shout out to the Longhorns.
Exactly. Get it right.
I said orange. I said orange. I thought
I
it was
had
good.
said before that in other formats, the person that gets married, you have to first be married in your heart. That means you have to really be committed to that person. You know, when you step up into that church or chapel or wherever, and you step up to whoever saying, "Hey, I do," you know, that means you are already committed. This is something you've done this. You are married within yourself before you can step up in there. You don't become married after you say "I do." Okay, that's why you have so many people that, you know, I've known, and I know people personally. They leave from the church and go see somebody else. Okay, before they even go to the reception. Okay,
They
I've seen
argued
men
the
and
damn
women.
day before that shit or the night before
You know,
that. So
That is facts, though. By the way,
So saying "I do" does not mean you're married. That just means you just went through the ceremony. See, so you got to be married in your heart to really be married. This is and like earlier when you was talking about how people get married young and they live 28 years together and all that. Yeah, because they were married in their heart. You know, because and I've met people that's been married for 30, 40, 50 years and whatever, and they say the reason we lasted so long because we both wanted it to work. Okay, but when you're in a relationship with somebody and only you want it to work, they just in it until they can do something different. You know, it's not going to be very successful. You know, you'd be lucky if you last past 5 or 6 years.
My question on that is, why is it, you know, I see in the comments too that they say, well, maybe they felt like she wasn't wife material. Well, if she was good enough to sleep with, good enough to cook the meals, good enough to,
Here we go.
why is it now not wife material?
No, but
Yada, yada.
why do her statement have to be a "here we go"? It's
Right.
crazy. Y'all can do
Okay.
that. Here we
Oh,
go.
you
on that
want me to
statement. Hold
you want
on.
me to answer that?
Let me finish. Y'all
Okay.
can go. Here we go on that statement. It was just a couple weeks ago. Y'all had the same conversation about women. If you can lay down and have a baby with them, reverse that. It's the same thing, and that's what they do in that counselor corner. They always want to throw out that crap and put it out in the water, and then they sit there when you reverse it back on them. Then they want to act like they drowning. Listen,
Girl,
I
is
told
that what
them
they do
all
in
the
the
time.
counselor's corner?
I'm very
Yeah,
assertive, and I'm just not gonna let you say whatever you can say to me and think what you're saying is concrete. It's not concrete. We have thoughts and processes too. I think what the problem is, though, back in the day when my grandmother and I was growing up, and I remember this because my grandparents raised me. My grandmother took care of the house, and she had very limited communication on anything that happened in and out of the house, but maintaining the house. Y'all think that some of us still stuck in that time. No, we're not. We're not those women. Okay?
y'all just
And I
take
don't have
everything
no
to social
problem
media
saying
now.
that. I'm not those women. I'm not my grandmother. I may cook like her. I may keep my house like her, but I'm not my grandmother.
Let me say this. That also varies as well because I had grandmothers too. Okay, and the grandmother I had ran everybody. Okay, including the man. So, but the point is, okay, marriage has changed a lot in the last 40, 50, 60 years. Okay, in the mindset of the general psyche. Okay, because see, back in the 50s and 60s, it was a different thing. People really tried to make their marriage work because you had so many issues and you had to really stick together. But then when the 70s came in, like we was talking about earlier with the county checks and all that kind of stuff, and then later on we had Oprah and and the Housewives of Atlanta and social media and Twitter and Facebook and whoever. That changed the whole dynamic of the mentality of being married. Okay, not just for women, men too. Okay, and so it's a different mentality now. Marriage doesn't have the same stigma as it did 50, 60 years ago. So at the time of our grandparents, their mentality was different when it came to marriage. There was people still cheating, they were still getting divorced, they were still going through things, but nowhere on the level today because of social media and the mentality in general. That makes sense?
No.
So what's the point of getting married in this day and age unless it's all about benefits?
Okay, pretty much, because it benefits nobody but women.
How? Wait a minute.
Oh.
Excuse me.
I know I was gonna start something with that one.
Yeah.
We got to do a
Maybe
part
that's
two.
what I was trying to
David.
draw
You
out.
thought we fell
We got to
asleep?
do a part two. David.
Hey Herb, I was trying to draw it out first for you, bro, but
If it was all about the benefits, I would have been married.
No, but marriage does well. We'll say that for another day, David.
No, you're not gonna say that. I need to hear what you got to say about that.
Yeah, marriage.
Well, let's look at it like this.
On this panel, say
Trigger.
something like that.
Let's look at it like this. If you take the average working class people, let's stay away from the elites and the less thans. If you look at the way marriage shakes out and who has the power, once a man gets married, he loses so much in the ability to self-choose.
Boom.
In the event of a divorce, which more marriages end up in, he loses control of the house, he loses control of the kids, and financially, neither person walks away in better shape than they do. If the one person that does,
for the woman either.
hold on. If they do, it's the woman, because more often than not, she's going to maintain the marital home. She's going to get child support and alimony. Even if it's a little, she does not have to pay. This is why you see a lot of men who are opting not to get married. So that's where the benefit comes for women, because she loses nothing. She'll gain, if anything, or she'll walk away with nothing. Men are going to lose no matter how you look at it.
Exactly.
Men never gain from marriage. They never gain complete possession of the children, the marital home, and they're never awarded palimony.
So not just me, ladies.
Well, I ain't gonna say that because I pay $1,400 a month for alimony. So
Is that the norm or is that the exception?
It's not the norm at all.
No, that's the norm.
It
Because
was
it's
normal because it happened to me.
No, I'm not disputing that. I'm taking that into account, and I'm asking: is that the norm for divorces, or is that the exception? All we have to do is look at the numbers, because I don't try to make this a me discussion.
I don't do statistics. I do reality and experience. As far as I'm concerned, that was a part of my norm.
yeah, that's 1% though.
Why do you think Mary J.
But we
Blige was
not
complaining
denying
about it so
your experience.
vehemently? Because it's not the norm. She doesn't think that she should have to pay because she's a female. That's where the built-in advantage comes from, but women never look at it like that because it's built in. The same reason why women don't even think about selective service, because it's built into the U.S. They don't have to sign up for it. These are all the things that society gives to women on the basis of gender. The same thing that happens with affirmative action. Women never think about affirmative action because it's baked in now. So when men talk about these things, it's viewed as if we're upset, and we're not talking about the things the way they are. So when we talk about reality, are we going to talk about reality selectively, or are we going to encompass all aspects of reality?
So just like affirmative action, more and more gets turned over. You have more and more cases where men win custody of children. You have more and more cases of women paying child support. more and more cases of split custody, joint custody, like equal. You have fewer cases where a man is paying alimony. I mean, just like anything, things have changed.
But
Things have
statistically,
changed.
the
They
women
are
still
changing,
higher than the men in the winning side.
but it's changing. So it's not a guarantee.
Maybe in 20 years,
So
but
a
not right
woman
now.
has just as much to lose. She actually stands just as much to lose as a man.
Okay.
Things
So
are
is-
not given. You want to go back 10 years? Okay, I'll agree with you. But things have changed dramatically since even 10 years. Going
But-
back 10 years, I
I'm not
know
saying that it doesn't
so many
happen.
couples that
But
had
still not the
joint
norm. Women
custody. There
still
was
win
no
more than
child
guys
support
do.
given.
Facts. This is a fact. It's not just my opinion. This is a fact. Women still win more than the
So-
men do. Like my
So
man
the
just
fact that
said,
things
women have more to
changed
gain
or
than the men
changing is not a
in a-
fact. I don't get it.
if a marriage don't work.
The thing.
My point is, a woman stands to lose just as much as a man when she gets married in the event of a divorce, because it's not a guarantee anymore. It's not a guarantee that you're walking away with the kids. It's not a guarantee that you're not paying child support. It's not a guarantee. Things have changed dramatically.
Let's-
Check this out real quick. The only time when a woman is in a situation where she not only loses the divorce, she loses custody of her children, is because of one situation, and that's if she's mentally unstable to
Right.
do that. Other than that, it doesn't matter.
I know
It's
too many instances
within the
where
1%.
she has and she wasn't
That's not
mentally
true.
unstable.
That is not true.
It's just not a given anymore.
That's not true at all. For a woman to lose custody because of mentally unstable. Being in this line of work and working with children with behavioral mental problems and issues, that's not typical because the woman has mental illness. It's many cases the reason why she's lost custody because she's not financially stable as he is. Okay, that's the highest percentage.
Yeah,
where she's lost it because she's jumped from house to house. She's very transit with the kids, and he has a stable home. That's 90% of the time it happens. It has nothing to do. That's
most
very
of the time
rare.
she gets the house.
What you say?
Most of the time she gets the house.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
talking about in
Most of the
fact
time,
not
but
having
no,
a
that's
house
not
and
most of the
somebody
time.
having property. But in many cases, it's not so much mental illness because it's not, because there's so many menus that can go with mental illness. They can be medicated, and they'll say, okay, long as she's medicated, she has counseling, or he has this and has this, and he's following this menu, he can keep his kids. They keep that case open. There has to be supervision. There has to be this, because I deal with this every day. So that's very, very rare. But if the woman loses custody of her child, she's either on drugs, very transit, does not have a stable home for them. But mental illness never, because of course it gets sued if they played it like that. The only way the mental illness can come into a barrier like that if it was neglect, physical neglect, or
Well, at a
abuse.
certain age, they could put the kid on the stance, and they could say who they prefer to live
Yeah.
with.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yup.
after a certain
The
age.
child- they get a child at the age of 11, and they can basically say what they want.
And typically, they may look at it at that age as who can I get the most from during this time.
Yeah. Well,
If dad has more money and I have a better lifestyle and I can compete with my other peers, then I want to stay with dad. Not in all cases, but it's usually that's probably how they would make their decision. If one of the parents say, I can't do this, I can't do that, a child is going to be a child. They want certain things, and it doesn't matter how they get it. So if the dad can give it to them or the mother, they're
Very
going to
true.
probably lean toward that side.
Yeah.
Normally the kid's gonna go with whatever parent is the more fun.
I don't think so.
that's gonna depend on a couple things. And one of the things is what that kid is into. If that kid is into sports, and the father's into sports, and the father's there encouraging him, and he's a boy, he'll probably want to go with the father. If it's a girl and she's not into sports, and she's into, let's say, beauty pageants, and the mother is kind of pushing her in that route, she'll go with the mother. The cross section is when you have boys that don't want to be pushed and they want to feel more secure. More than likely, that boy will go with the mother, and vice versa. If that girl is into sports, but she has a mother who's trying to pull her out of that, she's going to go with the father because the father's going to encourage that. So it really becomes a cross section of what that child wants, and it's just like was stated at what point, because this is one of the things that as a foster kid we were asked about. You know, we had the option of actually being with people that looked like us and being with people that didn't look like us, and we always opted for people that looked like us because we knew intrinsically that we needed that. So sometimes kids know early on intrinsically what they need to allow them to develop, and I think sometimes that's overlooked in these type of situations, which is why some courts allow kids to have a say in where they're placed, so that kid doesn't end up being resentful and become a malcontent for that particular parent.
And also they're going to look at nurturing the nurturing one too. Whatever. Even if my father didn't have his vices, and I had a choice back in the days, I'm going with my mom Dukes. I'm rolling with my mom Dukes. Whatever that's the way I would go. I would just hope that my father would have spent time, but I just know that I'm going to be taken better care of on that end. So that's just how it is. But that's not universal. That's just my opinion on my experience.
And then some kids understand that one parent is more stable than the other, and they're rolling with them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Without doubt.
Okay. Well, gang, we got the last talking point. We don't have to get. I'm gonna just start putting 3 down because we barely ever get to 4.
It's kind of nice having a starting point for the next week, though.
Yeah. And the 4th one was, if love isn't enough to keep you kept, then what is? Because sometimes people say love, it just wasn't enough. So then you start thinking about, so what are the other variables that kept you there? Or if you're that person, huh? And that's one. That's
love
one.
is not enough.
So are we taking this up now or next week?
We take it up. We're only gonna take it up for it's gonna be a short
Let's
version.
take it up next week.
Yeah, we're gonna take it up next week. So I'm just,
in the morning.
yeah, I gotta go back to the schoolhouse, and these kids ready. It's the 4th quarter. They ready to cut a damn fool. They ready. So if y'all want to give closing comments, lately y'all been kind of skimming out on that, on the closing comments.
Well, I go first since I'm the guest of y'all panel, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, bro.
Well,
No, you go last. I'm
boy, I
joking.
tell you, don't be like that.
Go ahead, Urban. The one with the red shirt on. Go ahead, Urban.
Well, I actually enjoyed the conversation in the panel tonight. Salute to each and every last one of y'all. Salute for inviting me on. Just like y'all know, I am the official urban therapist. Y'all can find me on. I'm mainly on YouTube now. I do have a Facebook channel. Yeah, I do have a Facebook channel as well, but I'm more on YouTube than Facebook because the Facebook algorithm been acting up lately for my live. So
Yeah, they do.
they're so hypersensitive over there these days.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad that you came on because you're in the chat sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to see your face.
Yeah, I've enjoyed
I'm
your
glad to see your
contribution.
face. That's all I'm saying. Come on and show your face, and I appreciate
Oh yeah,
that.
I'm not afraid to cam up. I definitely will, especially on my platform. I cam up all the time on my platform.
Well, you need to encourage your other brothers in the counselor.
Right.
They throw
Because
shots
they be
at
acting
some
a
of y'all.
fool in the counselor's corner.
Because
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop talking to people who got cartoon characters.
Throw a shot.
So what's the name of your platform again, man? Urban what?
The official urban therapist.
The official. I like that.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook and YouTube, but I'm mainly on YouTube. If you want to look at my live shows, just tune into my YouTube channel. And I have live shows Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, huh?
Appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, salute. I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Checking you out.
State gang.
Well, anybody else want to give a closing comment?
I'll say this. I really appreciated the conversations to the extent that I was able to be involved due to my technical issues. But I know I'm probably the OG in this whole panel here. I'm probably older than everybody here.
Yeah, how old are you? No. I am just joking.
I'll be 39 in October, but I see y'all laughing.
Yeah. Like,
We
I don't
laughing
know
because
about
I'm
that
still young.
What did he say? I didn't catch the age.
He said 59.
Oh, 59.
I said
Okay.
39.
Oh, okay.
Might add 20 years on me. I know, hard life, right? No, I'll be I'll be 62 in October.
Okay.
And 62. You know,
That's right.
Still looking good, kicking it. Still got your mental faculties. That's all good.
I appreciate that. And my main platform right now is on Facebook. Working my groups and stuff. Arguing as you. But I will be back on the platform circuit. YouTube is my next agenda. I'm not going to get into all the stuff. David knows how far we go back.
Yeah,
And
we go
like
back.
he said before,
Day
I was
one.
his first producer, and we still got to do some talking, man. We got to do some more talking on some stuff. You know what I mean?
For sure.
We missed out a lot of time. We got to, But as far as these subjects, they're very, very interesting. I do have to give some kudos to the young ladies that tried to stand up to the old man and.
He said the operative word. He said tried.
One thing you gotta realize. I mean, like, it's not to take anything away from you, but I did come up in a different time than this time. Okay, so what went on in the 70s is a little bit different than what's going on now. So so I pretty much draw from that all the way up. Rather than just recent. So that's why my perspective may be a little bit different than y'all's. That's all I want to say. So I'm saying there's no disrespect when I say what I say. I'm just saying that I might know a little bit more than a couple of y'all is my kids' age. So that's a fact. So I just wanted to say that. But other than that, I love your platform, David.
Thank you, brother.
I'm looking forward to participate with you again.
Yeah, they often make reference to the counselor's corner, but it's all good.
They don't know nothing, man. They don't know how we used to get down in the other place, do they?
Yeah, it's wow. We came on setting fires back in the days.
I used to call this. What did I call your show? What was your nickname for your show? I used to call it
Leroy Springer.
The David Springer show.
Yeah, Leroy Springer. Yeah, that's what it was. It was a radio version of Springer.
Oh, wow.
Chairs flying and all kinds of stuff. It was wild. I say, man, but but we, like I said, we gotta talk, dude. But yeah, right. Once again, I appreciate the time and look forward to doing this some more. And now that I'm starting to learn technology, hopefully I won't have no more issues.
All right.
I'll go next.
Go ahead, Christine.
Like everyone else said, I've really enjoyed the conversation tonight. Loved all the input and the new guests and stuff. It's been awesome. So everything I think just about everything we've discussed has been relationship oriented, and I just want to say, as usual, there is no exact formula. You kind of have to find your own way. So trust your heart, trust your gut, and go out there and see.
Works for me.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm going to add in too. Stay tuned. Coming up sometime in the very near future, the 100 questions.
Herb, I don't think I want to hear your questions.
Keep in mind though, like I said during the broadcast, that all these questions are not geared for people our demographic. They're geared for people who may not understand or have the expertise or the skill to start a conversation. And I just don't rapid fire these questions. They're within a fabric or framework of getting to know an individual. So if I want to know about an individual's upbringing, how do you start that conversation? What questions do you ask? What were your favorite toys and your favorite cartoons?
Make organic conversations.
But an organic conversation starts with a question.
Your questions
that's what we
eliminate.
Well, what you doing for your date is not what I'm gonna do, because you are not dating for the same thing. Hell, you do background checks on people. I would never tell you not to do background checks on people. So how are you gonna tell me how to conduct my job interviews? Ain't that about the most audacious thing on the planet? You gonna get me the cussing up in here?
You sure was about to start.
Y'all gonna get me the cussing up in here? Let me lay this on down before I start to lose my religion.
It goes back to what you said.
That you don't even have. Okay.
Those 100 questions, that is for you. That is your life, and you have a right to do it the way you want to do it. I applaud.
You'd be surprised if I put these on the pamphlet. You'd be surprised how well they sell.
Hey, I don't know. Listen. Then you should have been did that. I don't know what you're talking about.
We would never get
a question, so I could not even log on to Facebook.
They're not for our demographic.
Say it again.
We will never see the questions on the pamphlet because it's not for our demographic.
Right.
The thing about it is this: just because they're not for this particular or our age demographic doesn't mean they're not applicable to other people. The thing about that is this: when a book is written for people who like that topic. That doesn't mean somebody else that likes a different topic won't pick it up, thumb through it, and find something of value. That's the thing about writing something. You don't know who's going to find something of value in that particular book. This is why they tell you write the book and let the people who buy it be the judge. Because we don't know what's going to pop. We don't know what's going to resonate with somebody. You just don't. And as always, growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
I'm going to close out.
Can I ask one question?
Here we go. Headshot.
One question. Do we are we to be following each other on Facebook or anything?
You don't have to.
Some of us do.
I mean, you could. I mean, most of us all are in the counselor's corner, but you can follow and request each other for friends and all this stuff.
Some people block.
I encourage it.
Well, most of us that's on here follow. I don't let people in the counselor corner.
I'm always starting stuff.
I noticed in that counselor corner there, David, there's some people don't like me much.
You just got in, man.
Join the club.
What's your name in the counselor corner?
Yeah, what's your name?
Ed Real Talk Smith.
Oh God.
All right.
Is that you? Is that you? Is that you, Ed?
I haven't come across you yet.
I was talking to you.
Is it bad, y'all?
I ain't gonna engage with you no more.
That was you.
Yeah, that was me. I'm telling you, I don't bite my tongue.
I don't know what to say.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh, I must be working too hard. I'm missing a lot of stuff, huh?
Yeah, you working too hard, Christine. You've been real. Go ahead, Willie, give you a point.
Yeah, let me close out so I can go. I haven't been feeling well lately, so I just wanted to come on tonight and just kind of listen. But I found that listening is good sometimes because I'm listening to a lot of rational conversation with a lot of irrational responses, and I never noticed how irrational some of the responses have been until I sat and listened tonight to
How long you
just
been on
some of the
Facebook?
comments, some of the responses. Let me finish talking, Ed. So I learned a lot. I learned a lot tonight just listening to people, and I got a lot of takeaways from tonight. And in my closing, as usual, headshots can be deceiving, and a lot of people have contacted me behind the scenes because they also realize what I've been saying is a true fact.
Straight facts.
So
Straight
be
facts.
careful.
Yeah.
Just be careful.
Appreciate you, man.
Ugly up here.
Thanks for coming on, man. And I wish you continued
Hope you feel
wellness
better.
with your health, man.
Hope so. Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? Did Lakia go?
Mm-mm.
The lovable Lakia?
The lovable Lakia would like to say is there's a saying, and actually I want to say this because as I was saying it earlier, and you would hear me say often, God forbid, because your words will find you. There's a lot of times you want to be mindful of when you cast judgment. He said, "Because this, it goes." Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to pull it up. But I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Maybe because I'm tired. But the same measure that you meet shall be met unto you again. So the same measure you put out there on someone else, be mindful of that because that same measure can come right back onto you. Because it doesn't matter. It may not be one particular situation that you may not do, but there may be something else that that kind of goes along the same line. So the same measure that you meet shall be measured unto you again. So be mindful of the measurements that you put out there.
All right. Did everybody go? Annetta, did you go?
Annetta.
I don't really have much to say, but it's been fun.
Really?
Really?
Hey, what's going on, Annetta? How you doing? I'm messing with you.
You trying to come for me?
I ain't gonna messing with you. I never try to come for you.
Sound to me like he's trying to come for you, girl.
Right. I say just be organic, open date, have fun, be the best you. At the end of the day, make sure you're respecting the other person, that you're being honest, and that you're being upfront. But enjoy your life. Life is short. Enjoy it.
And for me to close it out, and I want to piggyback on that thing. I think the enjoyment piece is critical. Like I think a lot of times we look at the end result instead of. I think the great John Wooden, he coached UCLA. He was an English teacher. He said that the process is always greater than the end result. So enjoy the process of being together. That's what you talk about. Typically, even when you have married couples that's been, when I think about my grandmother and grandfather, they don't talk about, once they got married, they talk about stuff that led to that. Well, your grandfather ain't had this. I remember we used to do this. We used to do that. It's that process. It's greater than the end result. So enjoy the process. Have fun with it instead of saying, I want to be married. Because then once you're married, y'all just looking at each other on the damn couch. And now what? So continue to enjoy the process, and you don't know what that can lead to as far as the end result. Because then once that happens, you get married, then you have to find other goals that you have to work on. So it's a never-ending process. You're always going to have to find goals. Just like if you buy a house, you get the house, then after a while, okay, I'm in this house. Now what? I got this new car. The new smell went out the car. It ain't new no more. Now what? So you always have to find other things that kind of drive you to continue on. And with that said, I'm done. Appreciate you all. Stay tuned for the post in the Counselor's Corner, the most evil group on
Good
Facebook.
night.
Enjoy the
night.
post, and we'll see each other next time. All right. Y'all be
Good
good
night,
and be safe.
everyone.
Good
Good night.
night.
Good night.